Footnote 1351, State Department, Eng, Volume 78, No. 95. Adams to Seward, Dec. 27, 1861. As printed in U.S. Messages and Documents, 1860-263, pt. I.P. 14. Adams' emphasis on the word not is unindicated by the failure to use italics. Footnote 1352, Ibid, No. 110. Enclosure. Adams to Seward, Jan. 31, 1862. Footnote 1354, State Department, Eng, Volume 80, No. 206. Adams to Seward, Aug. 8, 1862. Of this period in 1862, Rhodes, Roman 4, 78, writes that the most significant and touching feature of the situation was that the cotton operative population was frankly on the side of the North. Lutz, Die Beziehungen zwischen Deutschland und den Vereinigten Staaten während des Secessionskrieges, pp. 4953, makes an interesting analysis of the German press, showing it also determined in its attitude by factional political idealisms in Germany. Footnote 1357, October, 1862. The Confederate Struggle and Recognition. Footnote 1360. Anthony Trollope, North America, London, 1862, Volume I.P. 198. The work appeared in London in 1862 and was in its third edition by the end of the year. It was also published in New York in 1862 and in Philadelphia in 1863. Footnote 1361. The Liberator, March 13, 1863, quoting a report in the New York Sunday Mercury. Footnote 1362. Lord Salisbury is quoted in Vince, John Bright, p. 204, as stating that Bright was the greatest master of English oratory that this generation, I may say several generations, has seen. I have met men who have heard Pitt and Fox, and in whose judgment their eloquence at its best was inferior to the finest efforts of John Bright. At a time when much speaking has depressed, has almost exterminated, eloquence, he maintained that robust, powerful, and vigorous style in which he gave fitting expression to the burning and noble thoughts he desired to utter. Footnote 1363, Speech at Rochdale, Feb. 3, 1863. Robertson, Speeches of John Bright, IPP, 234 sec. Footnote 1364, Bigelow to Seward, Feb. 6, 1863. Bigelow Retrospections, IP 600. Footnote 1366, State Department, Eng, Adams to Seward, No. 334. Feb. 26, 1863. Enclosing report of the Edinburgh meeting as printed in the Weekly Herald, Mercury and News, Feb. 21, 1863. Footnote 1368. Spargo, Karl Marx, pp. 224-5. Spargo claims that Marx bent every effort to stir working men to a sense of class interest in the cause of the North, and even went so far as to secure the presence of Bright at the meeting, as the most stirring orator of the day, though personally he regarded Bright with an almost unspeakable loathing. On reading this statement, I wrote to Mr. Spargo asking for evidence, and received the reply that he believed the tradition unquestionably well-founded, though almost the only testimony available consists of a reference or two in one of his letters, and the ample corroborative testimony of such friends as Lessner, Jung, and others. This is scant historical proof, but some years later in a personal talk with Henry Adams, who was in 1863 his father's private secretary, and who attended and reported the meeting, the information was given that Henry Adams himself had then understood and always since believed Marx's to have been the guiding hand in organizing the meeting. Footnote 1369, U.S. Messages and Documents, 1863, pt. I.P. 162. Adams to Seward, March 27, 1863. Footnote 1370, State Department, Eng, Volume 82, No. 358. Adams to Seward, March 27, 1863, enclosing report by Henry Adams. There was also enclosed the printed report, giving speeches at length, as printed by the Beehive, the organ of the London Trades Unions. Footnote 1372, State Department, Eng, Volume 82, No. 360. Adams to Seward, April 2, 1863. Footnote 1374. U.S. Diplomatic Correspondence, 1863, pt. I. p. 243, Adams to Seward, May 7, 1863. Footnote 1375. Robertson, Speeches of John Bright, I. p. 264. In a letter to Bigelow, March 16, 1863, Bright estimated that there were 7 millions of men of 21 years of age and upward in the United Kingdom, of whom slightly over 1 million had the vote. Bigelow, Retrospections, I. p. 610. Footnote 1376. July 2, 1863. The editorial was written in connection with Roebuck's motion for mediation and is otherwise interesting for an attempt to characterize each of the speakers in the Commons. Footnote 1377. U.S. Diplomatic Correspondence, 1863, Part 1, p. 319. To Seward, July 23, 1863. Footnote 1379. Ms. Letter, Sept. 8, 1863, in possession of C. F. Adams, Jr. Footnote 1381. Even the friendly Russian minister in Washington was at this time writing of the rule of the mob in America and trusting that the war, the result of democracy, would serve as a warning to Europe. Russian Archives, Stokel to F.O. Nov. 29 Dec. 11, 1864, No. 1900. Footnote 1382. State Department, Eng, Volume 84, Nos. 557 and 559. Adams to Seward, Dec. 17, 1863. Adams repeated his advice to keep out of it. Footnote 1383. Ibid, Volume 85, No. 587. Adams to Seward, Jan. 29, 1864. Adams here expressed the opinion that it was partly the aristocratic antipathy to Bright that had produced the ill will to the United States. Footnote 1387. Goldwin Smith, A Letter to a Whig Member of the Southern Independence Association, London, 1864 pp. 14, 68 and 71. Footnote 1388. Leader, Roebuck, p. 299. To William Ibbott, April 26, 1864. Footnote 1390. State Department, Eng, Volume 86, No. 709. Adams to Seward, June 9, 1864. Footnote 1392. Dasent, Delane, Roman 2, pp. 135-6. Delane to Dasent, Dec. 25 and 26, 1864. The Times on December 26 pictured Sherman as having escaped to the sea, but on the 29th acknowledged his achievements. Footnote 1394. These were not confined to Great Britain. The American legation in Berlin received addresses of sympathy from many organizations, especially labor unions. One such, drawn by W. Liebknecht, A. Vogt, and C. Schilling, read in part. Members of the working class, we need not affirm to you the sincerity of these our sympathies, for with pride we can point to the fact that, while the aristocracy of the Old World took openly the part of the Southern slaveholder, and while the middle class was divided in its opinions, the working men in all countries of Europe have unanimously and firmly stood on the side of the Union. U.S. Diplomatic Correspondence, 1865, pt. Roman 4, p. 500. Footnote 1395. U.S. Messages and Documents, 1865, pt. I. p. 417, Adams to Hunter, July 13, 1865. Footnote 1396. Disraeli was less disturbed by this than were other Tory leaders. He had long before, in his historical novels, advocated an aristocratic leadership of democracy as against the middle class. Derby called the bill a leap in the dark, but assented to it. Footnote 1397. Pierce, Sumner, Roman 4, pp. 150-153, summarizes the factors determining British attitude and places first the fear of the privileged classes of the example of America, but his treatment really minimizes this element. Footnote 1398. Goldwin Smith, The Civil War in America, an address read at the last meeting of the Manchester Union and Emancipation Society. Jan. 26, 1866. London, 1866, pp. 71-75. Footnote 1399. Goldwin Smith, America and England in Their Present Relations, London, 1869, p. 30. Index Aberdeen Lord I-10, 13, 14, 15, Roman 2. 117 Note Acton Lord Roman 2. 301 Adams Brooks The seizure of the Laird Rams cited Roman 2. 120 Note 125 Note 147 Note 150 Note Adams Charles Francis I-49, 62-381 Attitude in the Early Days of the American Crisis 49 and Note 55-63. Appointed American Minister in London 62, 81, 96. Impressions of English Opinion on the Crisis 96, 97, 98, 107. Alarm at Seward's Dispatch No. 10, I-127 Attitude of to the Palmerston Russell Ministry 170. Controversy on General Butler's Order 325. Reports to Seward on British Public Meetings on Emancipation Proclamation Roman 2. 107 and Note 223 View of the Popular Manifestations on Emancipation 108 View as to Decline of British Confidence in the South 184 and the London Confederate States Aid Association 191, 192. Receives deputations of allegiance during rumors before the fall of Savannah 245 and Note quoted on rumors in Britain of possible reunion and foreign war Roman 2. 251-2, 253 on Effect in England of the Hampton Roads Conference, 253, Advice of, to Seward on Attitude to be observed to Britain, 253-55, Attitude to Seward's Complaints of British and Canadian Offences 4, Comments of, on Parliamentary Debate and Bright's Speech of Confidence in Lincoln, 255 and Note. On Feeling in Britain over Lincoln's assassination and the attempt on Seward, 257, 262-3, receives addresses of sympathy from British organizations, 262-3, and formal declaration of the end of the war, 268, faith of, in ultimate British opinion on the issues in the Civil War, Roman 2. 283. Views of on the political controversy in England as influencing attitude to America 284. 285, Advice to Seward on the political position in relation to democracy, 290, 294, 296, 298 Note. Quoted on the rising of democratic feeling in Britain, 291. Disappointed in attitude of British Friends of Progress, 278, 279. Report of on London Mass Meeting in Favour of the North, 284, and the Trades Unions of London Meeting, 292, 290-45, quoted on John Bright, 298 on the attitude of the privileged classes to democracy, note 300. On the influence of American institutions on the political movement in Great Britain, 302. Diplomatic action and views of in regard to Alabama case, Roman 2. 35, 120 and note 121, 131 British Foreign Enlistment Act, I-135, 148-9, Roman 2. 201-2 Bunch Controversy, I-186, 187, 190, 193, 195 Confederate Commissioners. Representations on Intercourse with I. 105-6, 107 Confederate Cotton Loan. Reported connection with Roman 2. 161 and note, views on 179 Confederate shipbuilding in England. Protests against Roman 2. 118, 131, 137, 143, 145 note, and U.S. Navy Department plan to stop 130 note, Laird Rams incident 144, 146, 147 note, 150 cot. Report on British position Roman 2. 99 Declaration of Paris negotiation. Action on proposed convention I-140-169 Passam, view of American intention 144, 169. Failure of his negotiation 137, 145-6. 169-71 Gladstone and Lewis speeches, Roman 2. 55 Irish emigrants, enlistment of Roman 2. 201-2 Lindsay's efforts for mediation, Roman 2. 34-212 Mediation, presents the Servile War threat against Roman 2. 1819-95, View of England's reply to French proposals on 71 Advantages of an Anti-Slavery Avowal, 98-9 Neutrality Law, see British Foreign Enlistment Act Supra-Privateering Bill, Roman II. 122.3, 125, 127. Advises against issue of privateers, 131 Proclamation of Neutrality, the Representations on I-98 100, 101, 105, 107 and Note 301 Dispatch on Settlement of Peaceful Policy, 134. Protests against British recognition of belligerency, 159. Advice to Seward on 275 Roebuck's motion. Report on Roman II. 144. Servile War Threat, Roman II. 1819, 95 and Note Slavery, urges Northern Declaration on Roman II. 98-9, Comments on Times criticism of anti-slavery meetings, 108 Southern ports. Plan of collecting duties at Roman II. 198 Trent Affair, the Interviewed by Palmerston, I-208-9, Statement on the James Adger, 209-10. Suspicion of British policy in, 218 Views on public opinion in, 222-3. Officially states Wilkes acted without authorization, 226. Report on English Hope of Peaceful Settlement, 228, 229. On British Opinion after Settlement of, 238, 240. On Effect of in Great Britain, 243. View of Popular Attitude in Britain in the Crisis of Roman II. 283 Appreciation and Criticisms on, Characterized in the Index, Roman II. 196 Lord Lyon, Report on, I-62-3. Opinion on Roman II. 71 Note Lord Russell's view of his diplomacy, Roman II. 128 Tory approval of Roman II. 197 Otherwise mentioned, I-1, 2, 129, 198, 263, 274, 276 Roman II. 31 100 Adams, cf. Jun View of British Attitude and the Proclamation of Neutrality, I-109, 110. View of the delay in his father's journey to England, 112 Note, View on Seward's attitude in Declaration of Paris negotiation, 138-6, Examination of British action in the negotiation, 154-5, Review of the Trent Affair, cited, 203 Note, et seq. Passim on American feeling over seizure of Mason and Slidell, 218, and the Hot Sea materials, Roman II. 154 Note Adams, ed. British interests and activities in Mexico, cited Roman II. 117 Note, The point of view of the British traveler in America, cited I. 23 Note, Roman II. 274 Note Adams Henry, I-138 Roman II. 292 Note View of on W. E. Forster, I-58 Note on British Proclamation of Neutrality, 110 on American Exultation in Trent Affair, 223 on British Attitude in Trent Affair, 230. View of Gregory's Speech on the Blockade, 270 on British View of Prospects in the War, 297 on Possibility of Intervention, Roman II. 23 on Advantage of a Northern Declaration on Slavery, 23 on the Trades Unions of London meeting, 292 and Note 293, Declaration the of Paris. Reviewed, 146 et seq. 153 View of Russell's policy in, 146 150, 159 View of Lyon, 147, 150 Education of Henry Adams quoted, I-149 Note, Roman II. 172 Note, cited Roman II. 50 Note Adams, John, 2nd President of the U.S. I-62, 81 Adams, John Quincy, I-11, 2062, 81 African Slave Trade, Attitude of the South to I-85-6 Roman II. 88 Suppression of International Efforts for I-810, Punishment to Slave Traders in American Law, 9 American Attitude to Right of Search, 9, 10, 219 British Anti-Slavery Policy, 31 to Wane of British Interest in, 10, 32. Roman II. 90 Slave Trade Treaty signed, I-10, 275, 276 Roman II. 90 91 Agassiz, L. I-37 Note. Ackroyd, Edward Roman II, 193 Note. Alabama the Roman II. 35 116 119 120. Departure of from Liverpool, 118 British order to stop departure, 119 120 and Note, 133. Russell's private feelings as to 121, 124 public opinion in Great Britain on 129, 130. Palmerston's defense of government action on 134.5. American anger over 119, 127 measures against 121.3, 127. New York Chamber of Commerce protest on 126, claim for damages on account of 151 note mentioned I-138. Roman II. 129 note, 131, 134, 136, 145, 146 Alexandra case, the seizure of the vessel Roman II. 136, 139, 140, 152, 161 note, public approval, 136. Law actions on 136 note, 142, 149, 152, 185, 195 American anxiety at court decision, 143, final result, 196 note America, Central. British-American disputes in I-16-17 American, Civil War. I-86, 87 and note, 99, British public and official views at the commencement of 4060. Origins of American and British views, I-47-8 efforts at compromise, 49 British official attitude on outbreak of, 73 European opinion of after duration of 3 years Roman II. 219 compared with the Great War in Europe, 219 British attitude to democracy as determining attitude to the war I-77 Roman II. 335 bearing of on democracy in Great Britain, 299 Union. British views of I-15, prognostications of its dissolution, 36, 37 War of Independence, I-23-17, adjustments after the Treaty of Peace, 3 as fostering militant patriotism, 7, 8 note, commercial relations after, 17-18 War of 1812, I-4-7, 18, causes leading to 5-7. New England opposition to 7, 18, effective on American national unity, 7 see also under United States Anderson, Major, Northern Commander at Fort Sumter, I-117 Anderson's mission Roman II. 53 note, reports Roman II. 53 and note Andrews, Governor of Massachusetts, I-219-20 Anthropological Society of London Roman II. 222 Antietam, defeat of Lee by McClellan at Roman II. 43, 85, 105 effect of on Lord Palmerston, 43 Archibald, British consul at New York, I-63, 64 Argyll, Duke of I-179, 212, anti-slavery attitude of I-179, 238, Roman II, 112. Views of in Trent crisis, I-212, 215, 229, 238 on calamity of war with America, 215, 238 on Northern determination Roman II. 30 Arkansas joins Confederate States, I-172 Army and Navy Gazette, the Roman II. 228, 229, attitude in the conflict, 229-30, 236. On the presidential election, 235-6, 238. Summary of military situation after Atlanta, 243 on, foreign war, rumors, 251, cited or quoted, 68, 166, 232-3, 243. See also under Russell, W. H. Arnold Matthew, Views on the Secession, I-47 on British superiority, 258 on the rule of aristocracy and growth of democracy, Roman II. 300 Arnold, The History of the Cotton Famine, Roman II. 6 note 10-11 quoted. First effects of the war on the cotton trade, 910, Cot Operatives Song, 17 note on the members for Lancashire, 26-7 Ashburton, Lord, I-13. Ashburton Mission, I-13 Aspinwall and Forbes, Mission of in England, Roman II. 130 note Atlanta, captured by Sherman, Roman II. 233-5, effect of on Northern attitude, 233-4, effect of on Lincoln's re-election, 235 Atlantic Monthly, the Roman II. 109 note, 279 and note. Bagley, Mr. Roman II. 224 Balch, The Alabama Arbitration, cited Roman II. 129 note Baligny. C. Baligny Bancroft, Frederick, cited, I-117 note. Analysis of Seward's object in Declaration of Paris negotiation, 153, View on Russell's Ames in, 152 and Note Life of Seward, cited or quoted, I-106 Note, 118 Note, Note. 132 Note, 138, 153, 186 Notes, Note, 196 Note, 200 Note, Note, 231 Note, 280 and Note, 281. Roman 2. 96 Note, 143 Note, 253 Note, Note Banks, Governor, I-37 Note bearing Roman 2. 96 Note Bath, Marquis of Roman 2. 193 Note Beals, Mr. Roman 2. 191 Bedford, Duke of I-96 and Note Beehive, the cited Roman 2. 293 Note Beecher, Henry Ward, Roman 2. 184 and Note Beasley, Professor, speech of. At Trades Unions of London meeting, Roman 2. 292 Belfast Whig, the I-70 Note. 231 Note Beligny, French Consul at Charleston, I. 185 Note, 186, 188, 189, 191 and Note Bell's Weekly Messenger, quoted Roman 2. 104 Benjamin, Confederate Secretary of State, Roman 2. 5. Mercier's interview with I-284, 285, Report of to Slidell on Mercier's visit, 284 Note. Instructions of to Slidell offering commercial advantages for French intervention, Roman 2. 24 and Note. On idea of Confederate loan, 158-9, recalls Mason, 179. And recognition of the Confederacy, 217. On the attitude of France to the Confederacy, 236 Note. Plan of offering abolition of slavery in return for recognition, 249. Otherwise mentioned, I-292 Roman 2. 88 Note, 148, 154 Note, 213 Note Bentinck, I-268, 269 Bernard, Montague. Neutrality, the of Great Britain during the American Civil War, quoted I-100 and Note 8, Roman 2. 118, cited I-171 Note, 245 Note, 246 Note, Notes, Roman 2. 136 Note, on the American representations on the British Proclamation of Neutrality, I-100, on Declaration of Paris Negotiations 8. On the blockade and Notes 2 lectures on the present American War. On recognition, cited I-183 Bigelow, John, Roman 2. 71 Note, France and the Confederate Navy, cited Roman 2. 57 Note Retrospections of an Active Life, cited I-56 Note, 217 Note, Roman 2. 71 Note, 88 Note, 128 Note, Note, Gladstone and the Cotton Loan, 163 Note. U.S. Stimulation of Immigration, Note, cited 229 Note, quoted Roman 2, 254. Advice of on the political position in Britain, quoted 290. Cited 295 Note Billalt M. I-288, 289 and Note Birkbeck Morris, Letters from Illinois, quoted I-25 Birmingham Post, the I-70 Note Roman 2. 231 Note, Letters of S.A. Goddard in support of emancipation in Roman 2. 108-9 Bishop Reverend Francis Roman 2. 224 Bismarck Roman 2. 203 Black Judge American Secretary of State I-52. 244 Blackwood John Political Views of Roman 2. 289 Blackwood's Magazine Roman 2. 279 Note on Cotton and the Blockade 10. On French mediation proposals 68. On the Emancipation Proclamation 103. On democracy as cause of the war 278-9, 281-289 Blair, member of the United States Cabinet, I-130 Note 231. Roman 2. 85-251, 252 Blockade of Southern Ports, the Lincoln's Declaration on I-83, 89, 90, 92, 111, 121, 122, 244, 245. Commencement of I-245, Method of Warning at the Port, 245, 246. As involving hardship to British merchants, 245-6. Effectiveness of 252-71 Passim. Effect on British trade, 252, 254, 263. Effect on cotton trade, 262. Roman 2. 8-9. Statistics as to effectiveness, I-268 Note Southern Ports Bill, I-246 et sec. Stone Boat Fleet Blockade, I. 253 et sec. 269, 302 British Attitude to, I-95, 244, 245, 263 and Note, 267, 270 Roman II. 5. 265, Parliamentary Debate on, I-267 et sec. Gregory's Motion et sec. Press Attitude, Bright's View Roman II. 14. 15 Confederate Representations on I. 265 Napoleon's view of I-290 Booth, assassinator of Lincoln Roman II. 258, 259, 263 Border States the Efforts at Compromise I-49, Sympathies in 173. The Border State Policy of Lincoln 173, 176, 272 Note, Roman II. 82, and Confiscation Bill, Lincoln's Fears, 82, Attitude of, to Emancipation Roman II. 83, 84, 87, not affected in Proclamation of Emancipation, 86 Burke Hun. Robert Roman II. 187, 193 Boynton, Reverend C.B., English and French Neutrality, etc., cited and quoted Roman II. 225 Note Bright, John, I-58 Note, 77 quoted on Times' attitude towards the United States, 55 Note. View of the Northern attempt at reconquest, 72. Views of on the Proclamation of Neutrality, 108, 110. Speech on Trent Affair, 221-2. Letter to Sumner on Trent Affair, Influence on Lincoln, 232. Speech on Britain's attitude on conclusion of Trent Affair, 241-2. View on the war as for abolition, 241. On distress in Lancashire, Roman II. 13, 14, View of the Blockade, 14, 15 on the cotton shortage, 15, and Gladstone's Newcastle speech, 48. View of Emancipation Proclamation, 48 Note, 105-6, 111-12. On England's support if emancipation an object in the war, 88-9. The Escape of the Alabama, 120. At Trades Unions of London meeting, 132-3, 134, 291-3. Support of the North, 132, 283-4, 290, 291-95. On the interests of the unenfranchised in the American conflict, 132, 295. On the unfriendly neutrality of the government, 134. Rebuked by Palmerston, 135. Trouncing of Roebuck, 172 and Note, on Britain's neutrality Nov. 1863, 184. Championship of Democratic Institutions, I. 221-2. Roman II. 132-3, 276-7, 282, 283, Popularity of, as Advocate of Northern Cause, 224, 225. Influence of, for the North, I-58 Note, Roman II. 224, Lincoln's Pardon of Alfred Rubery in honor of 225 and Note. Quoted on Feeling of the British Government and People towards United States in Jan. 1865, etc., 247. Confidence of in Pacific Policy of Lincoln, 255 and Note. Quoted on the Ruling Class and Democracy, 280. Attack on Southern Aristocracy by, 290. Head's Deputation to Adams, 294. Eulogy of George Thompson by, 224 Note Adams' opinion on, Roman II. 298, View of, in the Index, Roman II. 298-9, Laird's view of Roman II. 134, Karl Marx's view of 292 Note. Lord Salisbury, quoted on the oratory of 290 Note. The Times attack on, 295-6 otherwise mentioned, I-69, 179. Roman II. 68, 69, 132 Note, 172 Note, 186, 187, 191, 278, 281. See also under Morning Star, British. See also under Great Britain British Emigration to America, I. 23 et sec. 35. Effect of American Political Ideals on, 23, 24, 25, 26 British Foreign Enlistment Act, Roman II. 116-7, 118. Application of an American Crisis, Question in Commons, I-94. Russell's Idea of Amending, Roman II. 124, 196 Russell's Advice to Palmerston on, 131. Debate in Parliament on 132, 133 4, 135. Forster and the violation of 133. Government reply to Liverpool shipowners on 142. Kearsarge incident 202 British press. See under names of papers and under subject headings British Standard, the I-70 note British Travelers' Views on America I-23 and note 24, 28, 30, Roman II. 274-5 Brooks, I-80 Bruffem, I-94 note, Roman II. 282 Bruffem, Lord, I-19 Brown, John, Raid of I-33 note Browning, Robert, pro-Northern sentiment of I-70, on Stoneboat blockade, 256, on slavery a factor in the struggle, 238-9, on British dismay at prospect of war in Trent crisis, 240. Mentioned 228 note Bruce, British ambassador in Washington, Roman II. 255 note, report of American intentions against France in Mexico, 255 note, comment of on Lincoln, Seward, and Sumner, 262, warns Russell of probable American demands at end of war, 266, 268. Attitude to piracy proclamation, 268. Otherwise mentioned, Roman II. 262, 269, Bruno, Baron de Russian ambassador, on British policy I. 5174. Interpretation of Russell's 3 months statement, 272 note, report of on Russell's mediation plan, Roman II. 45 note, interview of with Russell on joint mediation offer, 73 note Bryce, Lord I-30, Roman II. 188 note, 274 Buchanan, President, I-16, 49, 52, 117, 259, Roman II. 278 Buckingham, James Silk, America, Historical, Statistic, and Descriptive, cited I-29 Buckley, Victor, Roman II. 120 note Bull Run, Northern defeat at I-135, 154, 176, 201, as affecting Seward's policy, considered 154, 155, 6, effective in Great Britain. Press Views 176, 177, 8, 179. Official Views 178, 179 and note, Public Opinion, 201 Bullock, Captain J.D., Confederate Agent in Britain, Roman II. 118, 129, 145 on the proposed use of the Laird Rams, 122 note, 143. Shipbuilding contracts of Roman II. 156, 157, Secret Service under the Confederacy, cited Roman II. 118, 149 note bunch, British consul at Charleston, description of Jockey Club dinner, I-43 on Southern anti-British sentiment, 44 note Roman II. 71 note, instructions 2 on the secession, I-53 note, appeal of to Judge Black on seizure of Federal Customs House, 52. Characterizations of Southern leaders, 59, view of President Davis, 59, views on the South and secession, 59, 93, characterizations of Southern commissioners, 63, negotiations of with the Confederates on Declaration of Paris, note 184-6, 188, 193, attitude of to the South, 185 and note 103, 195 note. American complaints of 187, 189, 193 4, recall of exequator of 184, 187 et sec. 193, 194 5, 201, defense of his action in the Muir case, 187, 188, 192, 199. Subsequent history of 195 note view of as scapegoat, 195 note on attitude to the blockade, 252 note, 253 note, 268 on Southern intentions, 252 note. View of Southern determination, 252 note, on Southern views of England's necessity for cotton, 63 note, Roman II. 4, 5 on effect of the blockade on Southern cotton industry, 9 note on burning of Mississippi cotton, 16 note, 17 note on the American system of government as the cause of the Civil War, note British attitude to the controversy over I-188-9, 190, 191, 194. French attitude, I-189, 191 and note, 192, 201 note Lyon's views on Bunch controversy, I-187, 193, 194 and note Russell's views, I-187, 190, 193, 194 and note otherwise mentioned, I-66. Roman 2. 88 Burnley, British Ambassador report of On Prospective War with America Roman 2. 254 Butler, General Order to Federal Soldiers in New Orleans, I-324, 305, Roman 2. 68 Palmerston and Adams controversy on I-325, Lord Russell's advice to Palmerston, 303, 304. Cairns, Professor, Roman 2. 224 Note, pamphlet by On Slave Power, 112 Caledonian Mercury, the I-70 Note, Roman 2. 231 Note California, acquisition of by U.S. I-15, 16 Callahan, Diplomatic History of the Southern Confederacy, cited I. 261 Note, 289 Note. Roman 2. 167 Notes, 169 Note Campbell, Lord, I-271, 292. Roman 2, 2877, 169, 172, 193 Canada. Rebellion of 1837 in I-4, 109. Roman 2. 117. British fear of American attack on I-4, sentiment in, as affected by the American wars against England, 8 Note. Suggestions of annexation to northern states of the U.S., 54.5. Compensation in, idea in British press, 54.5, and in views of American political leaders, 55. Gladstone's idea regarding Roman 2. 6970. Military defense of in Trent crisis, I-213, 241-2, views in on Trent affair, 222 Note, on British policy and defense, 222 Note. View of the Times in, 222 Note free trade policy, and a Southern premonition as to I-22 reciprocity treaty of with U.S. Roman 2. 198, 253-4 otherwise mentioned Roman 2. 251, 254, 275 Canning I Roman 2, 12, 20 Cardwell Roman 2. 64 Carolina, North, joins Confederate States, I-172 Carolina, South, secession of I-41, 43, 44, 55. Roman 2. 34, seizes federal customs at Charleston, I-52 requests federal relinquishment of Fort Sumter, 117, Caroline affair the I-109 case, Walter M., James M. Mason Confederate diplomat, cited and quoted, I-261 Note. Roman 2. 161 and Note Catechese C. and mediation by Russia Roman 2. 251 Note Cecil, Lord Eustace Roman 2. 187, 189, 193 Cecil, Lord Robert, supports Gregory's motion on blockade, I-268, supports Roebuck's motion Roman 2. 171, 175 6. On Committee of Southern Independence Association, 187, 193 Charleston, SC. Sentiment to Great Britain in I-43, 44 Note, seizure of Customs House at 52, British appeal on question of port dues at 52, 244. Stone boat blockade of harbor at 253. Evacuation of Roman 2. 248, 249 Charleston Mercury, King Cotton theory of Roman 2. 5 Chase, Secretary of Treasury I-115, 121 Roman 2. 72, 283 quarrel with Seward, 72 Chase, W.H. of Florida, quoted Roman 2. 4 Chattanooga Roman 2. 185 Cheever, Reverend Doctor Roman 2. 224 Chenery Roman 2. 301 Chesney, Captain, cited Roman 2. 165 Chesson, F.W. Roman 2. 224 Chicago Convention, the I-175 Chicago Abolitionists, Lincoln and Roman 2. 49 Note Chickamauga, Rosecrans defeated at Roman 2. 184 Chittenden, cited Roman 2. 130 Note Christian Roman 9 of Denmark Roman 2. 203 Clanricarde, Lord Roman 2. 168 Clarendon, Earl of I-199 Note, 215 Roman 2. 3. 51-8 Passim, 63, 203 Note on Russell's mediation project and Lewis Hereford's speech, quoted, 57-8 Clayton Bulwer Treaty. Seward's attack on British interpretation of I-113 Cobden, I-77. Quoted on the Times, 222 Note. Opinion of Seward, 222 note, and Sumner, 222 note, on Palmerston's action in Trent affair, 226 note, letter to Sumner read at American cabinet meeting, 232 otherwise mentioned, I-289. Roman II, 26, 67, 80, 95 and note 166, 276 Colley, Roman II. 189 Collier, Legal Advice of on Alabama, Roman II. 118-9 Columbia District, Freeing of Slaves in Roman II. 83 Columbia, SC Burning of Roman II. 248, 249 Kame, George, Notes on the United States, etc. cited. I-29 Confederate Commissioners to Europe, the Bunch's characterization of I-63, Unofficial Interview with Russell, 85-6, 106, 158, Protest against closing of British ports, 170 note, replaced by Special Commissioners. 203 Attempt to make use of the Trent Affair, 214, British attitude to, not modified by Trent Affair, 235. Policy of, with regard to recognition and the blockade I. 264-5, 267, 273, 300, acquire a confidential document, 265 and note, hopes of from Parliament, 265, 266, 272, instructions of the First Commissioners, Roman II. 4 and note, failure of the First Commission, 4-5, suggest a treaty on African slave trade, 88 note. Slavery abolition offer, 249 Confederate agents' correspondence, collections of I-261 note. See also under personal names Confederates. See under Southern States Confiscation Bill, the Roman II. 82, 84, 85, 86, 92, 95 Lincoln's attitude to, 82, 84. Lord Russell's comment on 97 Constitutional, the cited Roman II. 236 note Continental Press and American News, Roman II. 71 note Corcoran, Roman II. 169 Cotton Supplies and Slavery, I-13, in British-American Commercial Relations, 21, 22, British manufacturers' dependence on, 22 Effect of the Civil War on, 55, 246, Roman II. 53, The Crop of 1860. Roman II. 7 Blockade the and I-252 and note 253, Roman II. 9. Effective on price I-262, 270 Napoleon's views on 290 England, need of for I-196-7, 200 note 294, 296, Roman II. 1799 Cotton famine in 294, Roman II. 6. Roman II et sec. 16 note Cotton manufacturing industry of in 1861, Roman II. 6, 7, 8 First effects of the war on 8, 9, 10. See also under Lancashire. France necessity of for cotton I-279, 290, 293, 294, 296, 300 Roman II. 17. Mercier's plan to relieve I-196-201 Gladstone's Newcastle speech, effective on price of Roman II. 48. King Cotton theory I-63, Roman II. I et sec. Belief of the South in cotton as a weapon of diplomacy, 2, 3, 4, 5 Southern orders for destruction of Roman II. 16, 17 note, effective on British officials, 17 Cowley, Lord, British ambassador in Paris, I-88, reports French agreement with British policy on Southern belligerent rights, 88. In the Declaration of Paris negotiations, 88, 143, 156, 157, 158, 167, Conversations with Thuvenel in Bunch affair, 189. Disturbed at French evasion of direct support, 189, 192, 201 note. In Trent affair fears war with America, 214. Communications on Southern Ports Bill, 247 and note. View of French attitude on Southern Ports Bill, 247 on French policy in Mexico, 260, 261 note. Roman II. 46, quoted, on Thuvenel's view on mediation in Feb. 1862. I note, on Mercier's Richmond visit, I-288, statement of to Lindsay, after interview with Napoleon, 290 on the possibility of reunion, 290 on the blockade, 291 denial of Napoleon's offer to England, 290, 291. Reports of On Lindsay's Mission, 291-293, 295 Note. Conversations with Thuvenel on Lindsay, 291, 293-4. Napoleon's Letter to On Lindsay, quoted 295 Note. Interview with Thuvenel on Russell's Mediation Plan, Roman 2. 38, 39 and Note, 46 on Napoleon's suggestion of joint mediation, 59. Instructed to notify France of England's view of the war as ended and of attitude to Confederate cruisers, 266-7 otherwise mentioned, I-218 Note Crawford, Consul General at Havana, Roman 2. 148 Crimean War, Anglo-French Agreement regarding neutral commerce, I-139 Crittenden, I-49. Daily Gazette the cited Roman 2. 109 Note Daily News, Attitude of during the American Civil War, I-6970 and Note 176 181-2. Roman 2. 230 Note on Lincoln's Message to Congress, I-176 Letters of W. W. Story in 228 Daily Telegraph, cited Roman 2. 50 Note Attitude and Circulation of 189 Note 226, 230 Note Dallas, American Minister to Great Britain, I-62. Lack of instructions on American intentions, 62, 108, 112. Communications with Lord Russell, 62, 66. 74 dispatches to Seward on Russell's intentions, 66-7. Russell's pledge of delay to 67, 84, 85, 107, 108. Report on proposed British joint action with France, 84-5. 86 otherwise mentioned, I-74, 96. 156 Note Dana, R.H., cited, I-218. The Tren Affair, cited 203 Note, 205 Note, 237 Note Danish Question, the Roman 2. 203-5, 214 Darwin, Charles, quoted I-180 and Note Davis, Bancroft, Times correspondent in New York, I-56 Davis, Jefferson, Personal Characteristics of I-59, 81, 82, Roman 2. 276, Attitude of, in the opening of the crisis, I-49. Elected President of the Southern Government, 59, 81, Foreign Policy of 81-2 Aristocratic Views of On Government, Roman 2. 276, Proclamation of On Mark and Privateering, I-83, 89, 90, 92, 111, 122, 141, 160, Defensive Measures of, in the South, 172. On Bunch's Negotiations on Declaration of Paris, 186 replaces Confederate agents to Europe, 203, and the African slave trade, Roman 2. 88 Note, Proclamation of Retaliation against Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, and Note on England's conduct towards the South, 184 on Southern disorganization, 219, Flight of, from Richmond, 248. Approves plan of offering abolition of slavery in return for recognition, 249. Capture of 267 British views on Roman 2. 276 Bunch's characterization of I-59, 185 Note Gladstone's Newcastle speech on Roman 2. 47 otherwise mentioned, I-163 Note, 185 Note, 254, 265 Note, 283. Roman 2. 5, 6, 176 Note, 251, 252, 285 Dayton, American Minister at Paris, I-129, 142, 143, 145, 150, 151, 163, 165, 167 Note, 168, 200, 231. 300 de Bruno, Russian Ambassador. See under Bruno de Flahault, French Ambassador. See under Flahault Debates, French press views on military situation, cited Roman 2. 174 Note de Beau's Review, Eulogies of the South in, quoted Roman 2. 2, 3, 4 on Cotton and Slavery, 3 View of England's Action on Blockade, 4 Declaration of Paris, the I-102, 139-40 Attitude of United States to 141, 156. American Offer of Adherence during the Civil War, 104, 137, 141-2. 151 Declaration of Paris Negotiation, the I-137 et sec. 184, 201, British suggestion to France in I-88, 91, 142, 146, 7, 156, 157 and note. American offer of adherence, 104, 137, 141 to 150, 151. Convention agreed between Britain, France, and America, 142-3. Addition of a declaration in support of British neutrality proposed by Lord Russell, 143-6, 149, 151, 154, 68, 170, 201. American rejection of convention, 145, 168, 201. American argument at Geneva on effect of British diplomacy in I-146 note Confederates. Approach of in the negotiation, I-161, 164, 165, 166, 168 note, 184-6, 188, 192, 193, Confederate Congress resolution of approval in 186 Convention, the proposed by U.S. Cowley's opinion on I-167 and note. Thuvenel's opinion on 167, Palmerston's suggestion on 167 and note Seward's motives in, see under Seward Delane, editor of the Times. Palmerston's letters to on American rights in interception of Confederate commissioners, I-207-8-209, close relations of with Palmerston 229 note, Roman 2. 145 anticipations of Southern victory, Roman 2. 204 and note. On prospective war with America, 254, effect of Sherman's arrival at Savannah on 245 and note, 300-1 otherwise mentioned, I-177, 178, 180, Roman 2. 65, 289 Delise, M. Drouin, French Premier, Roman 2. 59 and note, 60, 63 note, 168 Democratic element in British society. Lack of press representation, I-24, 41 Democracy. British views on American institutions, I-24, 28, 30, 31, Roman 2. 274-5, View of the American struggle as a failure of 276 et seq. Passim, press comments on the lesson from failure of American democratic institutions, 279, 280, 281, 285, 286, 297, bearing of the Civil War on 299. Aristocratic and conservative attitude to 286, 287, 297, 298, 300, 301. Rise of democratic feeling in Great Britain, 291, effect of the Reform Bill of 1867, 304 Derby, Lord Leader of the Opposition, I-76, 77, 79, 94 and note, 240, 241, attitude to recognition and mediation, I-240, Roman 2. 51, 52, 53, 54, 77. Attacks governmental policy in relation to Laird Rams and Southern shipbuilding, 149-50, 197. Approves attitude to Napoleon's mediation proposals, 154-5. Speech in motion for address to the Crown on Lincoln's assassination. Attacks government on American piracy proclamation, at end of the war 8, attitude to expansion of the franchise, I-77. Roman 2. 276, 303 and note otherwise mentioned, I-292, 295, Roman 2. 51 note, 166, 210, 214 dial, the I-70 note Disraeli, Benjamin, Tory leader in the Commons, I-79 on Trent affair, 241, connection with Lindsay's motion, 292, 295, 296, 306, Roman 2. 213 and note, approval of neutrality, Roman 2. 77, 174 note, in Roebuck's motion, 153, 171, 174, attitude to stoppage of Southern shipbuilding, 197, speech, of on the motion for the address to the Crown on Lincoln's assassination, 263-4, Reform Bill of 1867. 33 and note mentioned, Roman 2. 270 note Donoughmore, Earl of Roman 2, 204 and note. Reply to Mason, 250-1 Doubrel, Roman 2. 59 note, 62 note Doyle, Percy, I 218 note Dublin News, quoted I 45, 46 note Dubuque Sun, the Roman 2. 22 note Dudley, U.S. Consul at Liverpool, Roman 2. 118, 130 note, 144, 145 note Dufferin, Lord, I 240 Duffus, R.L. Contemporary English Popular Opinion on the American Civil War, I 41 note, quoted 41, 48, cited 70 note, Roman 2. 112 note Dunfermline Lady, I 224 note Dumping of British Goods, Effect on American Feeling, I 19, 21. Economist, The Attitude in the Struggle, I 41, 54, 57, 173 4, Roman 2. 15, 173, 231 note, cited or quoted, on Lincoln's election, I 39 and note, on impossibility of Northern reconquest, 57 on secession an accomplished fact, 174, Roman 2. 79 on Bull Run, I 179 on cotton shortage, I 55. Roman 2. 14, 15 on Servile insurrection, 79 on cotton loan, 160, 162 on Roebuck's motion, 173 on extension of the franchise, 277 on American institutions and statesmen, 279-80 Edinburgh Review, The Attitude to Slavery, I 33, 45. Roman 2. 281 Attitude in the Conflict, I 42. Roman 2. 50 note, 68 on Recognition, 46 note on the Emancipation Proclamation, 103 on the Causes of the War, 281 Eliot, Chargay I 14 Eliot, E.N., editor of Cotton is King and Pro-Slavery Arguments, Roman 2. 3 note Emancipation, Proclamation of, Roman 2. 74, 78, 80, 86 and note 91, Idea of Military Necessity for 81, 82, 85, 87. Lincoln's alleged purpose in 87, purpose of, according to Seward, 99 100, viewed as an incitement to servile insurrection, 49, 74, 98, 101, 103 Note American reception of Roman 2. 101, 105 British attitude to Roman 2. 101 et sec. Press denunciation of 125, 106, public meetings in favor of 106 and note 107, 108 English women's support of 109, Nonconformist support 109, 110, Emancipation Society's support of 110 Confiscation Bill. See that heading. See also Border States and subheading under Lincoln Emigration, British, to America, I-23-4. Roman 2. 201 Kearsarge Incident, 200-1 England, Cotton Famine. See under Cotton, see Great Britain Erlanger and Co. and Confederate Cotton Loan, Roman 2. 158-60, 161, 162 and note European opinion of the Civil War after duration of 3 years, Roman 2. 219 Eustis, I 204, 234 note Evans, William, Roman 2. 224 Everett, Edward Russell's letter to on proclamation of neutrality, I. 166 note Ewart, question by, in the House of Commons on privateers, I-90 expatriation. American and British views on, I-16. Fairfax loot, of the San Jacinto, I-205 Farnalls, reports on distress in the manufacturing districts, Roman 2. 12 note, 20 Fawcett, Prof. Roman 2. 224 note Featherstone, G.W. excursion through the slave states, cited, I-29 Federals. See under Northern Ferguson, Sir James, I-268, Roman 2. 175 Farrand, attack by, on cotton manufacturers in the Commons, Roman 2. 164 Fishmongers of London, meeting in honor of Yancey, Roman 2. 223 note Fitzgerald, Seymour, I-306, Roman 2. 25 Fitzwilliam, Hun. See Roman 2. 193 Flahault, M. de French Ambassador, I-88, 197 260 note, 288, 291, 293, Roman 2. 19 note, 45 Forbes, J.M. and Aspinwall, Mission of in England, Roman 2. 130 note, 297 Forbes, J.M., quoted on the Civil War viewed as a fight for democracy, Roman 2. 297 Forster, William E., I-58 and note, A Friend of the North, 58 note, Roman 2. 224 quoted on Harriet Martineau, I-70 note, Question in Commons on Privateering 94, 157 Speech against Gregory's motion on blockade, 268, 270 Speech on mediation and intervention in debate on Lindsay's motion Roman 2. 22, Close touch with Adams, 22, 36. Attacks government in debate on Southern shipbuilding, 133. Rebuked by Palmerston, 135. In Roebuck's motion, 171 175. Comment on Southern meetings, 190 and note Fort Donelson, Confederate reverse at I-272, 273 note, 274 Fort Henry, Confederate reverse at I-272, 273 note, 274 Fox GV. Confidential correspondence, cited I. 257 note, 268 note, Roman 2. 120 note. Quoted on Confederate ironclads in England, 130 note France. Naval right of search exercised by I-6, and American contentions on neutral rights, 18 Confederate cotton loan attitude to Roman 2. 160 note cot. Lack of I-279, 290, 293 4, 296, 300, Roman 2. 17 mediation and armistice, attitude to British unofficial overture on Roman 2. 38-9, 45-6, 59-60 ministerial crisis, Roman 2. 39, 45, 59 neutrality of I-299, Northern sentiment on Roman 2. 225 and note policy in the Civil War. Joint action of with Great Britain, I-88, 156, 166 note, 196, 249 50, 252, 259, 260, 284, Roman 2. 28, 75, 198. Break-in, 77 press of, and the events in U.S. Roman 2. 174 note, 236 note see also under Mercier, Napoleon, Thuvenel, and under subject headings Fraser's Magazine Roman 2. 284 J.S. Mills articles in I-240, 242, Roman 2. 81 90, 285 Fraser, Trenholm and Company. Confederate financial agents in Liverpool Roman 2. 156, 157 Frederick Roman 7 of Denmark, and Schleswig-Holstein Roman 2. 203 Free Trade, I-21, Roman 2. 304 Freeman, E.A., History of Federal Government, cited Roman 2. 152-3 Fremont, Roman 2. 82. Gallinga, Times correspondent in New York, Roman 2. 189 Gate, Sir J.T., I-221 note. 222 note Galveston, Tex I-253 note. Roman 2. 266, 268 Garrison, W.L. American abolitionist, editor of The Liberator, I. 31, 33, 46 and note Garrison, cited Roman 2. 91 note, 111 note Gasparin, Count, cited Roman 2. 92 notes Geneva Arbitration Court, American complaint of British neutrality, in I-138. American argument before on Declaration of Paris, 146 note German opinion on the Civil War, I-178 note, Roman 2. 111 note, press attitude, 285 note Germany, the index quoted on aid given by to the North, Roman 2. 236 note Gettysburg, Battle of Roman 2. 143, 176 note 185, 296 Gladstone Thomas, letters of to the Times I-32, 33 The Englishman in Kansas, I-32 note Gladstone W.E. I-76, 78, Fear of War with America in Trent Affair, 215 Influence of the commercial situation on Roman 2. 26. Attitude to intervention, 26, 27, 31, 48, 57 Newcastle speech, 47 and note, 48, 49, 50 and note, 51 and notes, 55, 58 Memorandum in reply to Lewis, 57, supports Napoleon's suggestion on armistice and blockade, Roman 2. 64, account of cabinet discussion on Napoleon's suggestion, 65 and note. Idea of offering Canada to the North, 69, 70 and note. And the Confederate cotton loan, 163 note. Reply of in Roebuck's motion, 171. Quoted on the American dispute as a blow to democracy, 282-3 otherwise mentioned, I-179, 200 note, 224, 266. Roman 2. 59, 77, 80 Goddard Essay Roman 2. 108 Letters on the American Rebellion, cited Roman 2. 108 Note, 109 Note Godkin, E.L. Daily News Correspondent, I-70 and Note Golder, Dr. F.A., cited, I-53 Note. The Russian Fleet and the Civil War, cited, I-227 Note Roman 2. 129 Note Goodenough Captain Report of On American Readiness for Foreign War Roman 2. 199 Note Gorgas Call Roman 2. 5 Note Gortchakov Comment of On Russell's Mediation Plan Roman 2. 45 Note and Idea of Russian Mediation 251 Note Mentioned I-164 Note Roman 2. 59 Note 66 Note 70 Note Grant General Capture of Forts Henry and Donelson by I-273 Note 274. Victory at Shiloh 278, Captures New Orleans 279, Western Campaign of Roman 2. 164, 166, 180-45, Capture of Vicksburg by 176 Note 185. Advance to Richmond 217, 219, Siege of Southern Lines at Petersburg 217, Capture of Petersburg and Richmond by 247-8. Times Report of Reverses to 212, 227, 243 Condition of his Army, Southern Account in Times, 227 W.H. Russell's Comment on Grant's Campaign, 232-3. Henry Adams, quoted on, 243 Otherwise mentioned Roman 2. 215, 249, 256 Grants the Newspaper Press, cited and quoted Roman 2. 231 Note Granville, Lord I-76 quoted 199 Note, On Difficulties in Washington and Attitude of Neutrality, 241 Opposition of to Russell's Mediation Plan, Roman 2. 42 and Note 44-46. Mentioned I-94 Note, Roman 2. 203 Note Grattan, Thomas Colley quoted I-36, Civilized America, I-36 Note Great Britain, Citizenship, Theory of I-5-6 Colonial System, Trade Basis of I-17, 20, 21 Commercial Relations with America after Independence, I-17 et seq. 22 Franchise, Expansion of the IN, I-26, 28. Roman 2. 274, 276-7, 301, 302, 303, 304. Effect of the American Example on Political Agitation in, 274. Connection of the American Struggle with the Franchise Movement in, 277, 278, 286. Radical Acceptance of the Challenge on Democracy, 282, 283, 290, 298. Aristocratic and Conservative Attitude to Democracy, 286, 287, 298, 301 Policy Toward America. Conditions Affecting I-2 et seq. 35, Roman 2. 270, The Right of Search Controversy, I-16 Territorial Expansion 1315, 16 Extension of Slavery 1315 Mexican War 1516 Commercial Interests 1922 in the Civil War 54, 58, 59, 79, 84, 136, 178, 199, Roman 2. 272. Influence of Democracy in Determining Roman 2. 335, Policy of Joint Action with France. See under France, see also under Leon, Russell, and subject headings. Public Opinion and Governmental Policy of, in relation to America I. 15, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30 Public Opinion and Official Views in At the Opening of the Civil War, I-40-60 Doubts of Northern Cause 48, 50, Attitude to Recognition of the South, 53 Note on Secession, 54, 55, 57 Trade. Exclusive Basis in I-17, 20, 21. Effect of American Retaliatory System on, 20. Free Trade Theory, 21, Roman 2. 304 Hopes from Cotton Interests, I-22 Working Classes in, Northern Sympathies of Roman 2. 284, 285 Note see also subject headings Great Lakes, Armaments Agreement, I-4, Roman 2. 253, 254 Greeley, Horace, editor of New York Times Attack on Seward by, I-280 Note, and Mercier's Proposal of Mediation, Roman 2. 75. Lincoln's Reply to, on Emancipation, 92-3 Greg Percy, Roman 2. 154 Note Gregory, Liberal Conservative, Friend of the South, I. 90-91 Note 267, Motion of, for recognition of the South, 85, 91, 108. Advice to Mason on blockade question, 267. Motion to urge the blockade ineffective, 268-72. Speech in Parliament on distress in Lancashire, Roman 2. 21, 22 and note, quoted on attitude of Parliament to intervention and recognition, 155. View of Roebuck's motion, 175. Question of on the destruction of British property in America, 265. Mentioned, I-292, Roman 2. 153, 164. Greville, Charles, quoted, Roman 2. 3. Greville. Colonel, Roman 2. 193. Note Gray, Sir George, I-163, 207, Roman 2. 171, 263. Grimes, Senator on the purpose of the Privateering Bill, Roman 2. 123-4. Groves, Baron, Roman 2. 167, 168-9, 170. Grote, George, quoted, I-1. Halliburton, T.C., Roman 2. 187, 193. Note Hall, Capt. Basil, Travels in North America, cited I-26-7. Hall, Reverend Newman, Roman 2. 111, 224. Hamilton, R.C., The English Press and the Civil War. I-38. Note Hamilton, Capt. Thomas, Men and Manners in America, quoted I-27. Hammond, E., Undersecretary for Foreign Affairs, I-189. Inquiry as to possible action of American Navy to intercept Southern Commissioners, 206-7, 210, 211 and note on Foreign Enlistment Act, Roman 2. 142, Letter of to Leon on seizure of Laird Rams, 147. Note, quoted on public opinion and Napoleon's proposal of mediation, 66. Mentioned, I-256, Roman 2. 45. Hammond, Senator of S. Carolina, quoted, Roman 2. 2-3, Hampton Roads Conference, the Roman 2. 252-3. Harcourt, Sir William, quoted, on Lord Russell's statesmanship during the American Civil War, I-1. Letters of in the Times on questions of international law, I-222. Note, Roman 2. 63 and note. And see under Historicus, Hardwicke, Earl, I-94. Note Harris, T.L., The Trent Affair, cited I-203. Note, 205. Note, 217. Note, 231. Note, Roman 2. 282. Note. Citations of anti-Americanism in Times, I-217. Note Hawthorne, Julian, cited I-47. Head, Sir Edmund, Governor of Canada, I-129, 197. Note Hertzlet, Map of Europe by Treaty, cited I-94. Note, Historicus, Letters of to the Times, cited and quoted I-222. Note. Roman 2. 63, 104, 138. Note Holmes, O.W., I-37. Note Hood, General, Roman 2. 236. Note Hope, A.J. Beresford, Roman 2. 187, 189, 193. Note, 281-2. Hopwood, I-305, Roman 2. 11, 18, 21. Horsfall, Mr. Roman 2. 153. Horton, Wilmot, I-23. Committee on Emigration to America, 23, 24. Hotsey, H., Confederate Agent, quoted on effect of Trent Affair, I-243, descriptive account of his activities, Roman 2. 154. Note, and the foul blot, phrase, 240, and the southern arming of Negroes, 241. Mentioned, Roman 2. 68. Note, 180. Note, 213. Hotsey Papers, the Roman 2. 154. Note, 180. Note, 185. Note Houghton, Lord, Roman 2. 265-6, 267. Hughes, Thomas, I-181, Roman 2. 224. Note Hunt, James, The Negro's Place in Nature, cited, Roman 2. 222. Hunt's Merchants Magazine, cited, Roman 2. 8. Note, 14. Note Hunter, Confederate Secretary of State, I-264. Hunter, General, issues order freeing slaves, Roman 2. 84. Hunter, Mr. Editor of the Herald, Roman 2. 213. And note Hughes, Caleb, Roman 2. 120. Note, 159. Huskisson, cited, I-20. Huxley's criticism of Hunt's The Negro's Place in Nature, Roman 2. 222. Impressment by Britain. A cause of irritation to America, I-6, 7, 8, 16. Index, the Roman 2. 33. And note agitation of, for recognition of the South and mediation, 33-4, 153-4, on Gladstone's Newcastle speech. 51. Note views of on Lord Russell and his policy, 51. Note and note 68, 69, 165, 196, 197. On reply to French joint mediation offer, 68-9 on Laird Rams, 150 note quoted on government attitude to the belligerents, 154, 164-5, connection with Hotsey, 154 note, and the fall of Vicksburg, 165, 178 and note, on French press and policy of France, 174 note, 180. Reports of on Southern meetings and associations, 188 and notes, 194 and note, 195 and note, 240 comments on the Palmerston-Mason interview, 215-6. Criticism of Palmerston's reply to deputation on mediation, 216, view of mediation, 217, defense of slavery in the South, 222, 241. Criticism of the Times, 228, quotations from the French press on the war, 236 note. And the presidential election, 236 note on Germany's aid to the North, 236 note on reception of Northern deputations by Adams, 245 note on characteristics of Southern leaders and society, 287, view of Northern democracy, 287. Denunciation of the Manchester School, 298-9, cited Roman II. 181 note, 186, 190 note, 199 note, 232, 241 note, 242, quoted 192, 193 note Ionian Islands, control of I-79 Ireland, Irish emigration to America, I-29, Roman II. 200, 201. Enlistments in, for Northern forces, 200, 201, the Kearsarge incident, 201-2, petitions circulated in support of the North, 240 Italy, disturbances in Roman II. 29. Jackson, Stonewall, exploits of in Virginia, effect of on Russell and Palmerston, Roman II. 38 Jackson, W.A. Roman II. 191 James, William Wetmore Story and his friends, quoted I-228 and note, cited 256 note James Adger, the American warship I. 208, 209, 210, 211 note Jameson, Professor J.F. Roman II. 154 note Japan. Seward's suggestion of a naval demonstration against I. 126 note Jefferson, President, I-711, 18 Jewett, J.P., quoted Roman II. 111 note John Bull, Roman II. 231 note, quoted on slavery not an issue, I-179 Bull Run, a blow to democracy, I-179-80 Johnston, General. Campaign against Sherman, Roman II. 248, 274 Jones, Mason, pro-Northern speaker, Roman II. 193-4, 195-224, Juarez, Mexican leader, Roman II. 198, Justicia, letters of, in the Times, I-217. Kansas border struggles, I-32 Kearsarge incident, the Roman II. 201-2 Kelly, William across the Rocky Mountains, etc., cited and quoted Roman II. 275 note Kennedy, William, Texas, etc., cited I-29 Kenner, Duncan F., Confederate Commissioner, Roman II. 249-50 Kentucky, effect of border state policy, on I-173 Kinglake, views of on Roebuck's motion, Roman II. 175. La France cited Roman II. 236 note Laird Brothers, builders of the Alabama and Laird Rams, Roman II. 120, 121-2, 129, prosecution of demanded 136, officially ordered not to send Rams on trial trip, 146, 149. Government's correspondence with 146 and note 149-50 Laird, speech of, in reply to Bright's attack on the government, Roman II. 134 Laird Rams, the Roman II. 121-2, 123, 124, 137, 140 et seq. 196, description and purpose of 122 and note, British government position, 133, 134 rumors regarding 142-3, seizure of 145-50, 179-80, 182, suit for damages 151 note, British government purchase of 151 note U.S. Navy plan to purchase 130 note. Usual historical treatment of the incident, 141, 147, and Note Lamar, Confederate Representative, Account of Roebuck and Bright, Roman II. 172 Note Lancashire, Cotton Trade, Distress in, Roman II. 6, 11 et seq. 21, 26, 29, 31, 240 Attitude in to Government Policy, 10, 11, 13, 15 Attitude of the Cotton Lords, 2, 10, 16, Farnall Report on, 12, 20. Northern Sympathies of Cotton Operatives, 13, 285 Note Cotton Factories, Statistics, Roman II 6 Cotton Manufacturers, Attack on in Commons, Roman II. 163-4 Lane, Franklin K., Letters of Cited Roman II. 129 Note Layard, Reply of On Roebuck's Motion, Roman II. 171, 173. On Destruction of British Property in America, 265 Lecycle, cited Roman II. 174 Note, 236 Note Lay, General turns back McClellan's advance on Richmond, Roman II. 1. Defeated at Antietam, 43, 85 Retreat of through Shenandoah Valley, 43 Advance in Pennsylvania, 163 Note, 164, 176. Defeats Hooker at Chancellorsville, 164 Retreat from Gettysburg, 163 Note, 178, 179, 297 Defense of Richmond, 185, 217, 247, 248. Surrender, 248, 255, 256, 7, 265, 301, 303 times, quoted or cited on his campaign Roman II. 227, 256, 296 Lees, Mr. Roman II, 220 Lempriere, Dr. I-180, Roman II. 191 Lewis, Sir George Cornwall, I-76, 78 and Note 94. Roman II. 52 Views of On the Civil War, Roman II. 50 and Note 51 Article on the Election of President Lincoln and its Consequences, I. 78 Note Fears War with America and Trent Affair, 215, 226 Objections of to Mediation, Roman II. 44-6 Hereford Speech of in reply to Gladstone, 50 and Note 51, 55, 58 View of the Emancipation Proclamation, 52. Action of on Russell's proposed intervention, 52 et seq. 73-4 Memorandum of on British policy in opposition to Russell, 62-3 Account of Cabinet discussion on Napoleon's armistice suggestion, 63-5 Hereford Speech Effect on Adams, Roman II. 55 Palmerston's views on Lewis' attitude to recognition, 56 Russell's reply to Lewis, 56, 57 Liberator, the Garrison's abolition organ, I-31, 33 and Note 46 and Note 47. Cited or quoted, 70 Note, Roman II. 106 Note, 107, 109 Note. Roman III Note, 130, 184 Note, 189 Note, 191 Note, 194, 223 and Note, 224 Note, 237 Note, 239 Notes, 240 Note, 289 Liebknecht, W. Roman II. 301 Note Lincoln, President, I-115 Characteristics of I-115, 119. 120, 127 8 Influence of in Britain, Roman II. 276 Election and Inauguration, I-36, 38, 39, 48, 51, 64, 82, 110, 115, Inaugural Address, 38, 50, 71, 175, Personal View of Terms of Election, 49. Popular Views on 79, 114, 115 Decision to reinforce Fort Sumter, I-117, 118, 119, 120, and Defend Federal Forts, 118 Attitude to Seward's Foreign War Policy, 119-20, 136. Reply to Seward's, Some Thoughts for the President's Consideration, -20, 124. Modifies Dispatch No. 10, 126-7. Attitude to Schladen's Richmond Visit, 121, 122. Emergency Measures of 172, 173 Policy and Views of on Blockade Proclamation, I-83, 110, 111, 244. See heading Blockade Border State Policy of I-173, 176, 272 Note, Roman II. 82 Confiscation Bill, Attitude to Roman II. 82-84 Emancipation Proclamation of, see that heading Hampton Roads, Conference at Roman II. 252-3 Intervention on Roman II. 36 Piracy Proclamation, I-83, 111, 160 Servile Insurrection, Roman II. 83 Slavery, Inaugural Address on I-38. 50, 71, 175 View of the terms of his election regarding 49. Denial of emancipation as an issue, 239, Roman II. 88 Reply to Chicago abolitionists on Roman II. 49 Note Declarations on 78 Conversations with Sumner on 82 Attitude to Emancipation 82, 83 4, 96 and Anti-Slavery Sentiment 83 Denial of as a cause of the war 88 Reply to Schurz on Emancipation 72 Reply to Greeley 93-94 Orders of as to liberated slaves 100 Trent Affair Attitude to Release of Envoys I-231 and Note British View of in I-225 226 230 Union the Efforts to Preserve I-49 121 Efforts to Restore Roman II. 82, 83, 93 5 Reply to Greeley on 92-3 Attitude of to England I-301 Curtails authority of General Butler 305 Settles quarrel between Seward and Chase Roman II. 72 Letter to Manchester Supporters of the North 109 Drafts resolution for use in British public meetings on slavery 113 British addresses to 288 290-1 Re-election Roman II. 226 234 235 238 Expectations of his defeat 226 231 British press views on 234-5 238 Punch cartoon 239 and Note Complaints of his despotism and inefficiency in press, Roman II. 176, 232, His terms to the South, 251, 252 Assassination of Roman II. 257-8, 265, Political effect of in Britain, 301, and in Germany, 301 Note. British sympathy, 259-64 Appreciations of Roman II. 258-61 British opinion of during the war Roman II. 239 Note Bright's confidence in Roman II. 255 and Note Lyon's view on I-51 Roman II. 258-9 Press views I-38-9 Roman II. 125 Passim Schladen's view of I-116 Influence of Bright's letters on I-232 Pardons Rubery in honor of Bright Roman II. 225 and Note otherwise mentioned, I-59, 81, 149, 223. Roman II. 39, 68, 91, Note 126, 225, 251, 278, 281, 297 Lindsay, William Shaw, Descriptive Account of I-267, 289, On the Blockade and French Attitude to Intervention, 267. Project of Mediation of 279. Account of Interview with Napoleon Roman III, 289-90 Interview with Cowley, 291. Second Interview with Napoleon, 291 Effective Interviews on Confederate Commissioners, 292 Refused an Interview by Russell and Palmerston, 294-5, 296 Third Interview with Napoleon, 295 Interview with Disraeli, 295, 296. Proposed Motion in Parliament, 301-2, 305-6, 307, Account of a letter to Russell in explanation of his proposed motion, and Note introduces Motion in Parliament on Mediation, Roman II. 18, 20, 21-23, Withdrawal of 23-34. With Roebuck interviews Napoleon on recognition, 166, 167, 168, 169, 173, 174-5, 177. Suggestion by, on Confederate Finance, 156, proposes a further recognition motion, 178 Note. Connection with Southern Independence Association, 193, 195, 204, 206, 211 Hopes of, from attack on government policy in detaining Southern vessels, 185, 195, 196, hopes from Napoleon and from Southern victory, 204. Fresh agitation for mediation and recognition, 205-6, 209, 210. Interviews Palmerston, 206-7, 209. Urges Mason to interview Palmerston, 207, 208, 209. Interview with Lord Russell, 209-10, 212-13. Use of the Danish question, 206, 210. Hopes from Disraeli, 213. Postponement of his motion, 214, 215, 218. Friendship with John Bright, Roman 2. 172. Note, otherwise mentioned, I-197, 268, Roman 2. 25, 181. Lindsay and Co., Roman 2. 157. Liverpool. Change of feeling in, over the Alabama, Roman 2. 129-30. Liverpool Post, they cited on the Emancipation Proclamation, Roman 2. 103. Liverpool Shipowners Association urges remonstrance on closing of Charleston Harbor by stone boats. I-256. London Chronicle, the quoted I-46 London Confederate States Aid Association, Roman 2. 191, 192. And note. 195. London Emancipation Society, Roman 2. 91, 110. Distinguished members of 91. Note London Gazette, the I-94 London Press, the quoted I-54-5, 68. London Review, the cited I-46 and Note Longfellow, H.W. I-37 Note, 55. Note Lothian, Marquis of Roman 2. 187, 193. Note Lausada, Letter to Leon on Trent Affair, quoted I-220. Note Lowell, J.R., I-37 Note, 236. Lushington, Dr. I-207. Lutz, Dr. Ralph H., cited I-117 Note, Roman 2. 111. Note. 121. Note Die Besihungen zwischen Deutschland, etc., cited I Note, Roman 2. 285. Note Lyons, Lord, British Minister in Washington, I-42, 51, 114. Attitude in the American Dispute, 51, 53, 88. Note and Note, 254. Roman 2. 237. Note, on Southern clamor at Lincoln's election, I-51, views on the personnel of the Northern government, I-59-60, view of Seward, 59, 60, 65, 114, 129. Roman 2. 72. Fears from Seward's foreign war policy, I-60, 128-36. Passim. Efforts to prevent interruption of commerce with the South, I-64, 65, 66, 72, 73, 244. Views on the American controversy, 72, 73. Advises joint action with France, 84. Receives instructions on British policy, 87. And course of action if disavowed by America, I-190. Suspicion of French policy, 201. And note. Survey of the situation after Shiloh, 278. Farewell interview with Lincoln, 301. Opinion of Adams, Roman 2. 71. Note views on Lincoln and Davis proclamations, 106. Friendliness of Seward, 2, 72, 141, 176. Note. Report of improved relations on seizure of Laird Rams, 147, 182. Report on scare at Lee's advance, 176. Note view after Gettysburg, 176. Note. Protests against Russell's motion to withdraw belligerent rights to the North, 182, 183. Attitude to American public animosity towards Great Britain, 197, 198. On Seward's plan to collect import duties at Southern ports, 198. Description of American readiness for foreign war, and note, 199. On arrogance of American ministers, 199. Advises quiet attitude towards the North, 226. View of Northern determination, 226. 233. View of Lincoln's chances of re-election, 226. 233. On effect of the fall of Atlanta, 234. Advice on Seward's demonstrations for electioneering purposes, 237. Illness of 233, 237. Return to London, 237. Note. Appreciation of diplomatic service of, 237. Note diplomatic action and views of, in regard to, belligerent rights to the South, I-87. Attitude to request for withdrawal, I-274-5. Roman 2. 198. Blockade, I-64, 65, 66, 72, 73, 244-5. Roman 2. 226, and legislative closing of southern ports, I-244, 246. Communications with Seward on 244, 245, 246, 250, 257. Opinion on 254 Southern Ports Bill, I-240 650 Passam Bunch Controversy, I-184 et seq. View on Bunch's conduct, 187 Conferences with Seward in 191-193, 194 and note. Comment on Bunch's explanation, 192-3 Attitude to American Decision in 193, 194 Cotton, I-54 note, 64, 196-7. Roman 2. 20 and note Declaration of Paris Negotiations. Alarmed by Seward's attitude, I-151, 163 notes. View of Seward's refusal to see the dispatch, 153 and note. Communications with Confederates in 161, 163 notes, 165, 166, 168 note, 185, 188. View on the American proposal, 154, 162, 164 Emancipation, as an issue, I-223 Emancipation Proclamation, Roman 2. 106, 113, 114 and note intervention, I-197, Roman 2. 26, 36, fears commercial influence on policy, 26. See also mediation infra Irish emigrants. Enlistment of Roman 2. 201 mediation, I-284, 286, 297, 298-9, Roman 2. 23, 37 note 70 Summary of Mercier's plan of I-298-9, report on French isolated offer of Roman 2. 75-6 on Russian suggestion of 76 Mercier's Richmond visit, I-281 et seq. Passim Roman 2. 24 note comment on the result of I-286, effect of on 287. Comment on newspaper report of 287 Privateering Bill, Roman 2. 125, 126, 127 Proclamation of Neutrality, presentation of to Seward, I. 102, 103, 132, 133, 163 note, 164, 184 Recognition of the South, I-65, 66, 73. 197, 198, Roman 2. 70 Seward's Foreign War Policy, I-60, 128-9, 130, 132, 133, 136 Advice to Russell on 128-9, 131 Anxiety as to Canada, 128, 129, 131 Slave Trade Treaty, I-276 Slavery, I-52, 73, 93 and note. Account of changes in Northern feeling on 223 Southern Commissioners, I-65, 72 Southern Shipbuilding, Roman 2. 127, 139, 141 on American war feeling over, 139-40 Trent Affair, I-210, 211, 221. Instructions in 212-4 Anxiety for Canada in 221. Otherwise mentioned, I-43, 57, 59, 74, 242, 243. Roman 2. 147 note, 170 lits, Bulwer on Dissolution of the Union, cited I-182. McClellan, General, Advance of on Richmond, I-276, 279, 297, 298, 301. Roman 2. I-33. Defeat of by Lee 1, 1833 Rumored capture of 20, 21 note Adams' opinion on rumors, 20, 21 note. British newspaper reports of capture of 20, 21 note removal of 30, defeats Lee at Antietam, 43, 85, fails to follow up his victory, 43, 105. As candidate in presidential election, 234 note, 238 McFarland, I-204, 234 note McHenry, George the Cotton Trade cited Roman 2. 6 note, 13 note, 185 note Mackay, Alexander, the Western World, cited and quoted I-30, Roman 2. 274-5 Mackay, Charles, I-37 and note, 46 note, as Times correspondent in New York, Roman 2. 176 notes. 189, 226 40 Years Recollections, cited Roman 2. 176 Note, John and Jonathan poem, quoted I-37 Note Life and Liberty in America, quoted I-37 Note Mackay, Doctor, editor of the London Review, I-46 Note Mackenzie, Canadian Rebellion, 1837, I-4 McLaren, Duncan, Roman 2. 224 Note Macria, Opinion of on Hotsey and Slidell. Roman 2. 180 Note Madison, President, I-11 Madison's War, I-4 Maine, State of. Boundary Controversy, I-4 9 Malmesbury, Lord, I-79 84 149, Roman 2. 25 167 Manchester Emancipation Society, the Roman 2. No. 224 Note Manchester Examiner and Times, I-70 Note, Roman 2. 231 Note, cited Roman 2. 136 Note Manchester Guardian, the Roman 2. 231 Note, cited 181 Note Manchester Southern Club, the Meeting of and List of Delegates, Roman 2. 190 and Note Manchester Union and Emancipation Society, the Roman 2. 110. Leading members and activities of Roman 2. 224 Note Man, Southern Commissioner to London, I-63, 82, 85 Notes, 264, 265 Roman 2. 24 Note, 241C also under heading Confederate Commissioners Marchand, Captain of the American ship, James Adger, I-208. Instructions of to intercept the Nashville, 209, 210, 211 Note Marcy, Secretary of State, and the Declaration of Paris, I-140-1 Marriott, Captain Frederick. A Diary in America, etc., cited and quoted I-27 Martin, M. Henry, Roman 2. 236 Note Martin, T.P., Theses of on Anglo-American Trade Relations, Roman 2. 8 Note Martineau, Harriet. In Democracy, I-27 Ardent Advocate of the North, 70 and Note, View of Slavery as Cause of the Civil War, Roman 2. 79-80 Marx Carl and the Trades Unions of London Meeting, Roman 2. 291-292 and Note Maryland and the Union. Effect of Border State Policy, I-173 Mason, James M., Special Commissioner of the Confederates to Britain, I-183 Note, 203. Relations with Spence, 183 Note, 266 Note, Captured in the Trent, 204 et sec. 234 and Note, Reception of in England, 264 Interview with Russell, 265-6, 267, 268. Statistics of on the blockade, 268 and Note. Effect of the failure of Gregory's motion on, 272, 273, Hope in a Change of Government, 273, Views of on Capture of New Orleans, 296. Comment of on Mediation after the Northern Successes, 300, and Lindsay's motion, 305, 306-7, on the state of the cotton trade in England, Roman 2. 10. Request to Lord Russell for recognition of the South, 25, 28, and Slidell's offer to France, 24 and Note, refused an interview. Appeals to Russell for recognition, 27, View of the Emancipation Proclamation, 104. Nominates Spence as financial advisor in England, 156, and Confederate cotton obligations, 157, 158, 159, and Confederate cotton loan, 161, 162, in Roebuck's motion, 167, 168-9, 172-3. Opinion of Napoleon, 172-3. Recall of 179, 181-2 determines to remain in Europe, 182. Hope from a change of government, 185, 213-4. Demonstration against after a Southern meeting, 191. Representations on Kearsarge enlistment of Irishmen, 201. Interview with Palmerston suggested to 207, 208-9, 214-5. Returns to London, 212. Opinion of Palmerston and Russell's attitude in interview with Lindsay, 213. Suggests Disraeli to handle Lindsay's motion, 213. Protests against clause in Southern Independence Association address, 220. Attitude of to slavery, 249, 250. Interview of with Palmerston on Confederate offer to abolish slavery, 250. Interview with Earl of Donaghmore, 251. Quoted on Lee's surrender, 256 correspondence of I-261 note otherwise mentioned, I-255, note 267, 292, Roman 2. 1931, 154 Note 185, 186, 195, 241 Mason Papers, cited I-261 Note, Roman II. 24, Et Passum Massi, Reverend, Roman II. No. 190 Note, 239 Maximilian, Archduke, I-260 Roman II. 255 Note Mellish, John, Travels, quoted I-25 Mercier, French minister in Washington, with Leon attempts official presentation to Seward of proclamations of neutrality, I. 96 Note 102, 103, 132, 164. In Declaration of Paris Negotiations 157, 158, 162, 163 Note 165, Negotiations with Confederates 163 Notes 164, 165, 184, 185, 191 Note. Plan for Recognition of Southern Independence, 192. Plan to Relieve French Need for Cotton, 196-01. Supports British Demands in Trent Affair, 230. On Withdrawal of Belligerent Rights to South, 275. Efforts for Mediation, 279, 298, 300, Roman II, 36, 37 Note, 41, 70 Note, 71 Note 75, 76 Note. Idea of an Armistice, 41, 47 Richmond Visit, I-280 CT Sec. Roman II. 24 Note 95 Seward's Acquiescence in I-280, 281, 282, Consultation with Leon on 281-2. Result of 284-5. Report to Thuvenel on 285. Effective on Leon and Russell, 287 New York Times Report of 287. Effective in Paris and London, 287-8. Roman II. 95. Effect of on Confederate agents I. 288 Southern Ports Bill, Attitude to I. 247 Note, 248 Note, 249. Views of on Recognition 285-6. Belief of in ultimate Southern success 298, and isolated French offer of mediation Roman II. 75. Proposes Russo-French mediation 76 Note. Precautions of during Lee's northern advance 176 Note Bancroft quoted on I-280. Otherwise mentioned I-166 Note, Roman II. 23, 40, 155, 270 Note Merrimack, the I-276, 277 Mexican War of 1846, I-7, 15, 206 Mexico, British influence in, I-13 Revolt of Texas from 1215 Roman II. 117 Note. Contract of for ships and equipment in Britain, 117 Note. British policy towards, after Revolt of Texas, I-1314, War with United States, 1846. 715, 206, Expectation in of British aid, 15. Loss of California by, 15. Joint action of France, Great Britain and Spain against for recovery of debts, 259-60. Designs of France in, 260, Roman II. 46. American idea to oust France from 198, 251, 252, 255 Note Mill, J.S. Roman II. 224 Note. Article in Defense of the North contributed to Fraser's Magazine, cited or quoted, I-240, 242, Roman II. 81, 90, 285, on Trent Affair, I-240, 242, on Slavery I. 240, Roman II. 80-1 Milne Admiral I-211, Lyon's Letter to on Southern Shipbuilding in Britain and American Letters of Marque, Roman II. 140, 141 and Note Milner Gibson, I-226, Roman II. 36. Attack on by the Index, 298 Milnes, Moncton, I-268 Missouri, State of and the Union, Effect of the Border State, Policy I-173 Mobile, Ala, I-253 Note Mockward. Note of on Napoleon's Proposal on Recognition in Roebuck's Motion, Roman II. 167, 168, 169, 172 Monk, Viscount, Roman II. 140. Approves seizure of Laird Rams, 147 Monitor, the Duel of with the Merrimack, I-276. Effective in Great Britain 276, 277 Monroe Doctrine, the I-11-12, 259, as a medium for American territorial expansion, 12 Monroe, President, I-11 Monson, cited I-93 Montagu, Lord Robert, Roman II. 170. Amendment of on Roebuck's motion, 170-171 Montgomery, Ala. I-81-82 Moore, Digest of International Law, cited I-137-145, 195 Note, 212 Note Moorhead. Ex-Governor of Kentucky, speech of at Liverpool, accusing Lincoln of treachery, Roman II. 105 Morning Herald, the Roman II. 67-68 Note, 231 Note, quoted 67-8. Cited 215 Morning Post, the I-229 Roman II. 231 Note, in Trent Crisis, I-226 Note, 229 Views on the Conflict and Democratic Tyranny, 229 Roman II. 284-285-6 on the War and the Cotton Industry, Roman II. 10 on Gladstone's Newcastle speech, 49 Note, 55 Note Morning Star, the I-69, 70 Note, 179. Roman II. 191 Note, 231 Note. Criticism of Times War News in 228 Motley, J.L. United States Minister at Vienna, letter of Analyzing Nature of the American Constitution, I-174-6, urges forward step on slavery, Roman II. 98, reply to Seward on effect of Northern attempt to free slaves, 99, quoted on the hatred of democracy as shown in the British press, 281. Otherwise mentioned, I-190 Note, 191 Causes, of the American Civil War, I-174, 175 Correspondence, I-179 Note, 184, Roman II. 33-98 Note, 106 Note, 280-1 Motley, Mrs. I-179 Muir, Robert. Arrest of I-186-8, 192, 193 Note, 201 Lyon's Views on 187-8. Napier, Lord, Roman II. 63-66 Napoleon I, Emperor I-4, 8 and American Contentions on Neutral Rights, I-18 Napoleonic Wars, I-47, 23 Napoleon Roman III. Emperor American Policy of Roman II. 39 Differences with Thuvenel on Roman II. 19 and Note 39 Blockade, View of on the I-290 British Policy. Vexation at I-295 Confederate Cotton Loan, Attitude to Roman II. 160 Note Mediation, Hopes for Roman II. 23-59 Suggests an armistice for 6 months, 59-60 et sec. 69 Request for joint action by Russia and Britain with France on, 60 British views on, 60-65 British reply, 65 and Note, 66 152-155 Russian attitude to, 59 Note, 63 and 64-66 offers friendly mediation. 75-6 Interview with Lindsay on, I-289 et sec. Reported offer on, to England 290, 291 Interviews with Slidell on, Roman II. 24-57 Note, 60 Mercier's Richmond visit, connection of with I-287, 288, displeasure at 288 Mexican policy of I-259-61. Roman II. 163-198 Polish question, Roman II. 163-164 Recognition, private desires for Roman II. 20. Endeavors to secure British concurrence, 1920, 38 Reported action and proposals in Roebuck's motion, 166-77 Passim. Interview with Slidell on abolition in return for recognition, 249-50 Otherwise mentioned, I-114, 191 Roman II. 32, 54, 71, 180, 204, 270 Benjamin's view of Roman II. 236 Note Mason's opinion of Roman II. 172-3 Palmerston's views of Roman II. 59 National Intelligencer, the I-297 Roman II. 49 Note Newman, Carl Friedrich, History of the United States by, cited Roman II. 111 Note Neutrality, Proclamations of British I-93, 94-6, 100, 110, 111, 134, 157, 168, 174, Statements on British Position, 99, 111, 163 Note, Roman II. 265. British Press Views on, I-136 Note French, I-96 Note, 102 American Attitude to, I-96 110 Passim, 132, 135, 136, 142, 174. British-French Joint Action, 102, 132 and note. Seward's refusal to receive officially, 102, 103, 132 and note. 164, 169, view of as hasty and premature 8, 109, 110, 112. Seward's view of 134.5, modern American judgment on 110 New England states, the I-17, 18, opposition of to War of 1812. I-7 New Nation, the New York, quoted on Lincoln's despotism, Roman II. 232 New Orleans, I-253 note, capture of 279, 296, Roman II. 16. Effect of on Confederates, I-296. Seward's promises based on, Roman II. 16. 26 New York, rumor of Russian fleet in harbor of, Roman II. 129 New York Chamber of Commerce, the protest by on the Alabama, Roman II. 126 New York City, anti-British attitude of I-29. Idea of separate secession, 83 New York Herald, the I-56, 255 Roman II. 199 Note New York Times, the attack on W.H. Russell in I-178 note, quoted on Trent Affair, 220 note. Report of Mercier's Richmond visit, 287 Newcastle, Duke of, Seward's statement to I-80, 114, 216, 227 Newcastle Chronicle, the I-70 note, Roman II. 231 Note Newfoundland Fisheries Controversy I-4 Newman, Professor, Roman II. 224 Newton, Doctor in Cambridge History of British Foreign Policy, cited I-35 Note Nicaragua, I-16 Nicolay and Hay, Lincoln, cited I-126 Note 138, 146 Note Nonconformist, the I-70 note, Roman II. 231 Note Nonconformist Sympathy with Emancipation Proclamations, Roman II. 109-10 Norfolk, Va, I-253 Note, No 290, Confederate War Vessel. See Alabama Northern States, Army, Foreign Element in Roman II. Note Emancipation, identified with Roman II. 220 Immigration and Recruiting in Roman II. 200 Insurgent Theory of the Civil War I-96, 102, 103 and note 111, 246 Intervention, Determination to Resist Roman II. 35-6, 71 Piracy Declaration Roman II. 267-8 Public and Press Views in, at the outbreak of the struggle, Union, the determination to preserve I-54, 55, 173, 236 Roman II. 226 Western and Eastern States' attitude to the war, compared Roman II. 53. Opinion Nationale, the cited Roman II, 174 note, 236 note Oregon Territory Controversy, I-15 Orito, the Confederate steamer, Roman II. 118, 123, 131, 136 Ottawa Sun, the cited Roman II, 70 note Oz and Reverend T.D., the South as it is, etc., quoted Roman II. 195 note. Page Captain, Instructions to on the use of the Laird Rams, Roman II. 122 note Pakenham, British Minister to Mexico, I-13-14 Palmer, Roundell, Solicitor General I. 268, 271 Palmerston, Lord. Coalition Government of in 1859. I-76, 77, 78. On Seward's Attitude 130. On Reinforcement of Canada 130-1. Statement of Reasons for Participation in Declaration of Paris 139. Suggests method of approach in Declaration of Paris negotiations 156 note on the object of the belligerents 178. On British policy and the cotton shortage 199-200. On possible interception of Mason and Slidell 207-8, 209. Action of in Trent Affair 226 note 229-241. Statement of on British neutrality 241. Interview with Spence 266. Refusal to interview Lindsay 295-6. Letters to Adams on General Butler's order 302-5. Reply to Hopwood on mediation Roman II. 18. Definition of British policy and debate on Lindsay's motion 22-3. Sneers at the silent cotton manufacturers 26. Views of on mediation 31. Participates in Russell's mediation plan 34, 36, 40, 44, 46, 51, 54, 56, 73. Traditional connection with Lewis Hereford's speech 50 and note. 51 note on the folly of appealing to the belligerents 56, 59, 73. Opinion of Napoleon 59. Views on French proposals for armistice 61 on British position in regard to slavery 61, 78-9 approves Russell's speech on Confederate shipbuilding 131 defends government procedure in Alabama case 134-5 accusation of against Forster and Bright 135 attitude to seizure of Laird Rams 145 on the use of Napoleon's name in Roebuck's motion 174-5 177 the crisis over Danish policy of 203-4 210 214 216 interviews with Lindsay 206-8 209 210 213 consents to interview Mason 207 opinion of on the ultimate result of the Civil War 209 215 attitude to resolution of Southern societies 211 interview with Mason 214-5 reply to joint deputation of Southern societies 216 reply to Mason's offer on abolition 250 assurances on relations with America after Hampton Roads Conference 255 attitude to expansion of the franchise 276 and note. Death of 302 characteristics of, as politician, Roman II. 134 Cobden quoted on, I-226 note Delane, close relations with I-229 note index. Criticism of in the Roman II. 216 press organ of, I-229 otherwise mentioned, I-96, 168, 194, 262. Roman II. 19, 68, 90, 112, 168, 170, 173, 185, 188, 190, 249, 263, 285, 293 Papineau, Canadian Rebellion, 1837. I-4 Papov, Rear Admiral, Roman II. 129 Note Paris, Congress of 1856, I-139 Peabody, George, quoted, I-227 Peacock, GMW Roman II. 187, 193 Note Persigny, I-303. Conversation with Slidell on Intervention, Roman II. 19 Petersburg, Evacuation of Roman II. 248 Finney, Patrick, and the Enlistment of Irishmen in the Northern Army, Roman II. 202 and Note Pickens, Governor of S. Carolina, I. 120, 185, 186 and Note Picket Papers quoted, I-243, Roman II. 155, cited, I-261 Note, Roman II. 69 Note Poland. France, Russia, Great Britain and the Polish Question, Roman II. 129, 163, 164 Pollard, The Lost Cause, quoted on Attitude of England on the Cotton Question, Roman II. 5-6 Potter, Thomas Bailey, Roman II. 164, 224, and Note Prescott, I-37 Note Press, British, The Attitude of in the American Civil War. See under names of newspapers, reviews, etc. Prim, Spanish General, Commanding Expedition to Mexico, I-259 Prince Consort, the I-76, 213, 224-5. Influence of on Palmerston's Foreign Policy, 224. Policy of Conciliation to United States, 228 Adams, cf. Quoted on, 225, 228 Privateering, I-83 et sec. 153 et sec. Passim Russian Convention with U.S. on, I-171 Note Southern Privateering, I-86, 89, 153, 156, 164, 165, 167, 171 Note, 186. Proclamation on, see under Davis. British attitude to I-86, 89, 92, 95, 158, 160, 161, 163, 166. Parliamentary discussion on 94, 95, 157. Closing of British ports to 170 and Note French attitude to I-157, 158, 159, 161, 162, 165 Northern Attitude to I-83, 89, 90, 92, 111, 163. Seward's motive against in Declaration of Paris negotiation. 164, 169. Northern accusations against Britain on 91 United States policy on I-141, 156. See Privateering Bill, infra C also under Declaration of Paris Negotiation Privateering Bill, the Roman II. 122 et seq. Purpose of 122.3, 125, 137. Discussion in Senate on 123.4. Passed as an administrative measure. 124, 137. Influence of on Russell's policy. 137. British view of American intentions. 137.8. Historical view. 141. Seward's use of 121 Note Prussia and Schleswig-Holstein, Roman II. 203-4 Punch, cartoons of cited, on Trent Affair, I-217-8, 237 on Stone Boat Blockade, 255, suggesting intervention by France, Roman II. 75 Note on Roebuck, 170 Note on Lincoln's re-election, 239 and Note Poem in, on the death of Lincoln, Roman II. 259 Putnam, G.H., Memories of My Youth, cited, I-178 Note Putnam, G.P., Memoirs, cited, Roman II. 163 Note. Quarterly Review, the I-47 Views on the Southern Secession, 47 on the Lesson from the Failure of Democracy in America, 47 Roman II. 279, 286, 301, Attitude in the Conflict, 199, 301 on British sympathy for the South, 301. Reader, the cited Roman II. 222 and Note Reform Bill of 1832, I-26, 28, Roman II. 276 of 1867. 303, 304 Republican Party, the I-114, 115 Ret, cited Roman II. 4 and Note 88 Roads, United States, cited or quoted I. 110 Note, 138, 217 Note, 231 Note, Roman II. 16 Note, 57 Note, 147 Note, 285 Note et passim. Richardson, Messages and Papers of the Confederacy, cited or quoted, I-261 Note, 266 Note, Roman II. 57 Note, 69 Note, 155 Note, et passim. Richmond, Va., Southern Government Headquarters at I-81, capture of by Grant, Roman II. 248 Richmond Enquirer, they quoted on attitude of France to the Confederacy, Roman II. 180 Richmond Whig, the cited Roman II. 68 Right of Search Controversy, I-6 Den Passim, 16, Recrudescence of Trent Affair 218, 219, 233, 235 Robinson, Chaws, D. Lincoln's Draft Letter to Roman II. 93 Note Roebuck, Speech of on Recognition, Roman II. 34 Note Motion of for Recognition of the Confederacy, 74 Note 144, 152, 164 et seq. 296 Note W.H. Russell's Views on 166 Lord Russell's Opinion on 166 Interview of with Napoleon 167 Parliamentary Debate on 172 176 8 Withdrawal of Motion 175 176 7 Subsequent Attitude of to America 177 Note 299 300 Opinion on the Failure of Democracy in America 299 300 Punch Cartoon on 170 Note Otherwise mentioned I-306 Rogers, Prof. Thorold, Roman II. 224 Note Rosencrans, Defeat of at Chickamauga, Roman II. 184 Rost, Southern Commissioner to London, I-63, 82, 85, 86, 264 Rauher, M., French Minister of Commerce, I-293, 294 Roylance, Roman II. 110 Rubery, Alfred. Lincoln's Pardon of Roman II. 225 and Note Russell, Lord John, I-42, 76, 77, 78, 9, 81 Attitude of in the Early Days of the American Struggle, 51, 53, 57, 60, 73, 4, 79, 84 Views on the Secession, 52, 3 Views and Action in Anticipation of War, 57, 8. Instruction on possible jingo policy toward England. 61. Recommends conciliation. I-67. 74. Refusal to make a pledge as to British policy. 74, 86, 87, 101, 108, 125. Promise of delay to Dallas. 67, 84, 85, 107, 108. Plan of joint action with France. 84, 85. Advises Parliament to keep out of the Civil War. 90 and note uncertainty as to American intention. 201-2. Roman 2. 237. Interview with Spence. I-266. 3 months statement. 272 and note. Roman 2. 22. Effect of Stonewall Jackson's exploits on. Roman 2. 38. Effect of Gladstone's Newcastle speech on. 49. Idea of withdrawal of belligerent rights to the North. 182, 183 on relations with United States and Seward. 183-4. Attitude to Seward's plan of collecting import duties at southern ports. 198 views on the conflict. Belief in ultimate southern independence. 9, 212, 271, and the Danish question. 203. Action in withdrawing neutrality proclamation and belligerent rights. 7, 268, 269. Attitude to Piracy Proclamation, 267-8, and the Reform Bill, 302, 303. Quoted on the Degeneration of the American Republic, 285. Succeeds to Premiership, 302. Diplomatic action and views of in regard to Alabama, the Roman 2. 120, 121, 124. Interview with Adams on 128, 131. Private feelings on 121, 124. 130 belligerent rights to the South. I-86, 87 and note. Reply to Houghton on Roman 2. 265-6, 267 blockade. The views on I-58, 91, 246, 252-3. Instructions to Leon on 58, 244, 248, 263, 267, 271, 272. Instructions to Bunch. 253 note, view on notification at the port method. 246, on British trade under. 252, 253. Aim in presenting parliamentary papers on. 252, 267 on irritation caused by Roman 2. 225-6 Southern Ports Bill, protests against. I-247-51 instructions to Leon on. 248, 249 Stone Boat Fleet. I-254-5. 256 Bunch controversy. I-186, 187, 195. Letter of caution to Leon on possible rupture. 190 Anxiety in. 190, 191 Butlers, General, order to troops. Advice to Palmerston on. I-303-4. Reply to Adams. 304. Confederate Commissioners. Attitude to I-67, 68. Interviews with I-85-6, 158, declines official communication with. 214 and note. 265-6, reception of Mason. 235, 265-6, 267, 268. Suggestion to Thuvenel on reception of Slidell. 235. Reply to Mason's notification of his recall. Roman 2. 181. Reply to Confederate Manifesto. 241-2 Confederate Shipbuilding. Reply to Adams' protests. Roman 2. 118, 121, 127 Advice to Palmerston on. 131 Orders detention of contractors. 135 Seizure of Alexandra. 136 Stoppage of 197. Result of Alexandra trial. 197. See also subheadings Alabama, Laird Rams Confederates. Negotiations with I-161, 163, 166, 168 note, 170, 184. Attitude to Thuvenel's initiation of negotiations with. 189 Explanation to Adams of British attitude to. 190 Cotton supply. Attitude to French proposals on. I-197, 199, 294. Declaration of Paris negotiation. Request to France in. I-142, 146-7, 156, 157 and note. Instructions to Leon on. 146-62 Passim, 184. Interviews with Adams. 141-8, 158. Proposals to the United States, 153 and Note, 170. Instructions to Cowley, 156-9 Passim, Suggested Declaration in Proposed Convention, 143-6, Note, 149, 151, 154, 168, 170, 201 Emancipation Proclamation. Views on Roman II. 101-2, 107 and Note. Foreign Enlistment Act, Idea of Amending Roman II. 124 Offer to United States on 124-5, Reply to Adams' Pressure for Alteration of 149. Gregory's Motion, I-108. Irishmen Recruiting of Roman II, 201-2. Laird Rams, Conversations with Adams on Roman II. 144 Orders Detention of 144-5, 146, 150, 151, Correspondence with the Lairds, 146 Drafts Protest to Mason, 147, 148 and Note. Reply to Attack on Government Policy on 149-50 Lindsay. Approval of Cowley's Statement to I-293, 294. Reply to Request of for an Interview 294-5. Interview with on Motion for Mediation and Recognition, Roman II. 212-13. Mediation, Advice to Palmerston on Reported French Offer, I-305 Reply to Seward's Protest, Roman II. 19, 25-6, 27, Project of with Palmerston, Roman II. 31-2, 34, 36 et sec. 91, 271, Instructs Cowley to sound Thuvenel, 38 Letters to Gladstone on 40, 41 Points of 46 Responsibility for 46 Note Russia Approached, 45. Memorandum on America, 49 and Note. Proposal of an Armistice, 31-2, 49, 53-5, 56-7. Comments on Napoleon's Armistice Suggestion, 61-2, 64 Wish for Acceptance, 62, 64. Declaration of No Change in British Policy, 71 End of the Project, 72 155 Motive in, 73 Viewed as a Crisis, 73. Comments of To Bruno on Joint Mediation Offer 73 Note Mercier's Richmond Visit, I-287, 288. Privateering, I-89, 91, 159-63 Passim Possible Interference of with Neutrals Roman II. 127, 138 150, Opinion of on Intended Use of Privateers, 138 Proclamation of Neutrality. British Position in I-166 Note, Roman II. 265-6. Recognition of the Confederacy, Attitude to I-67, 74, 86, 87, 101, 108, 242, 243, Roman II. 54, 59, 77, 8. Influence of Trent Affair on I-243, Reply to Mason's Requests for Roman II. 25-27, Opinion of Roebuck's Motion on 166, 177. Denies receipt of proposal from France on 168-9, 172. Servile War, Roman II. 80, 97, 98 Slavery, Roman II. 89, 90, View of Seward's Proposal for Transport of Emancipated Slaves, 100. Trent Affair, View of I-212, Letter to Lord Palmerston on War with America over, 215 On Possible Ways of Settlement of, 224. Instructions to Leon on learning officially that Wilkes acted without authorization, 226 Policy of in the American Civil War, I. 145, 202, 243, 299, Roman II. 271-2. Declaration to Adams on 55, 71 Attitude to Adams, I-81 View of I-131, Roman II. 128 View of Lincoln, I-189, Roman II. 263 View of Seward, I-67, 68, 131, 235-6, Improved Relations with Roman II. 72, 197 Criticism and View of in the Index Roman II. 51 Note, 68, 69, 196 Otherwise mentioned, I-96, 101 Note, 198, 274, 277 Roman II. 190, 208, 254 Russell, Lady, quoted on Trent Affair, I-224 Note Russell, W.H., Times Correspondent, I-44, 56, 66, 177. Letters of to the Times 71 177, Roman 2. 229 Note on the Secession I-56 177 Impression of Lincoln, 61 Note Description of Bull Run 177-8, Roman 2. 229 Note Abhorrence of Slavery I-71 177 American Newspaper Attacks on 178 and Note Recall of 178 and Note Roman 2. 228 229 Note on Napoleon's mediation offer, 68 on recognition, 166 Editor of Army and Navy Gazette Roman 2. 68 228 229 and Note Belief of in ultimate Northern victory I-178 Note 180 Roman 2. 68 Note 228 229 and Note View of the Ending of the War 229-30 On Campaigns of Grant and Sherman, 230, 232-3, 243. Quoted on Delane, 254, on Prospective War with America, 254 on Failure of Republican Institutions, 277 My Diary North and South, I-177 Notes. Quoted 44 Note, 61, 71 Cited 124 178 Roman 2. 229 Note Russia, Attitude and Declaration of Paris Negotiation, I-164 Note, Convention with United States on Privateering, 171 Note, Attitude to Recognition of the South, 196 Note, Roman 2. 59 and Mediation, I-283 Note. Roman 2. 37 Note, 39, 45 Note, British Approach to on Mediation, 40, 45 and Note, Attitude to Joint Mediation, 59 Note, 63 and Note, 70 Note on Joint Mediation without Britain, 76 and Note, Plan of Separate Mediation, 251 Note, Seward's Request 2 on Withdrawal of Southern Belligerent Rights and Note, Policy of Friendship to United States, Note, 59 Note, 70 Note. United States Friendship for 225 Polish Question, Roman 2. 129, 163 Fleets of In Western Waters, Story of In Tren Affair, I-227 Note, Roman 2. 129 and Note see also under Brano, Gortchakov, Stokel. Saint André, French acting consul at Charleston, I. 185, 186, 191 Note Salisbury, Lord, quoted on John Bright's oratory, Roman 2. 290 Note Salt, price of in Charleston. Effect of the blockade, I-270 San Domingo, Seward's overture to Great Britain for a convention to guarantee independence of, I-126 Note San Francisco, Russian vessels in harbor of Roman 2. 129 and Note San Jacinto, the I-204, 205, 216 Saturday Review, The Views of on Lincoln's Election I-39, Judgment of Seward, 39 Views at Outbreak of War, 41, 46. On Southern Right of Secession, 42 on Proclamation of Neutrality, 101 on Reported American Adhesion to Declaration of Paris, 146 Note on Slavery as an Issue. Attack on Mrs. H.B. Stowe, 181 on Blockade and Recognition, 183 on Duration of War and Cotton Supply, 246 Note on Servile Insurrection, Roman 2. 80. And the Relation between the American Struggle and British Institutions, 276, 277-8, 280, on the Promiscuous Democracy of the North, 277 on the Republic and the British Monarchy, 277-8. Cited, 111, 231 Note Savannah, Ga, I-253 Note. Captured by Sherman, Roman 2. 245, 249, 300-1 Sure, caught as a world power, cited Roman 2. 6 shillings see Roman 2. 301 Note Schladen, Rudolph, Minister of Republic of Bremen, I. 115, 116 Note, 130 Views of on Seward and Lincoln, 115-6, offers services as mediator. Plan of an Armistice, 121, 122, Visit of to Richmond, 121-3 Failure of his mediation, 122-3 Report of Russian attitude to privateers, 171 Note on Trent Affair, 231 Note, 242 on Lincoln and Seward's attitude to release of envoys, 231 Note, on attitude of Seward and Sumner to Southern Ports Bill, 248 Note. Quoted on Slavery, Roman 2. 111 and Note Schleswig-Holstein Question, I-79, Roman 2. 203-4 Schmidt, wheat and cotton during the Civil War, cited Roman II. 7 notes, 167 note. Arguments in, examined, 13 note Schofield, W.M., Roman II. 193 note Schooler, on diplomatic controversies between England and America, cited I-35 Schroeder, quoted on Erlanger's contract to issue Confederate cotton loan, Roman II. 161-2 Schurz, Carl, Papers of in Library of Congress, cited I-117 note. Advocates declaration of an anti-slavery purpose in the war, Roman II. 91-92, cited I-83 note Schwab, the Confederate States of America, cited Roman II. 156 note, 158 note, 160 notes, 162 note Scott, Winfield, American General on Wilkes' action in Trenifair, I-218 Sears, a Confederate diplomat at the court of Napoleon Roman III, cited I-261 note, 289 note. Roman II. 24 note Secession States, ports of I-253 note Semmes, Captain of the Alabama, Roman II. 119 Senior, Nassau W., article on American slavery, I-33 quoted, 33 note, 34 Servile insurrection, I-271, Roman II. 83-87 British apprehension of I-93, Roman II. 49, 79, 80, 81, 101, 110. Emancipation viewed as provocative of 49, 81, 86, 98, 101, 114. As an argument for intervention, 98, 101, 103 note, use of as a threat, 1819, 83, 94, 95, 97, 98, 100, 114 Seward, W.H. American Secretary of State, I. 39, 49, 59, 60, 64, 79, 80, 115. British view of 60, 80 view of, as unfriendly to Great Britain, 67, 68, 113 4, 125 at sec. 242, reputation as a politician, 80, 114, 115. Efforts of to secure European support for the North, 67, 137, 152, view of his relation to Lincoln, 114, 115 6, 118, 120, 127 8, 130. Document some thoughts for the President's consideration, -9, 123, 124 advice on Fort Sumter, 118, 120. His, dispatch number 10, 125-30, 154, 155 reversal of his policy, 130, 132 action on Britain's necessity of intercourse with the South, 164. Instructions to American diplomats on slavery as issue, I-176, Roman II. 95 offers facilities for transport of British troops, I-213 note, change of attitude to England, Roman II. 72 quarrel with Chase, 72 influence of, lessened by signing abolition proclamation, 100 note, friendliness to Leon, 72, 141, appreciation of Russell's expression of esteem, 147. Attitude to Russell, 197, policy in regard to reunion, 197, plan of collecting import duties at southern ports, 198, tests British-French harmony, 198, anxiety to avoid irritating incidents, 199, considers abrogation of treaties with Canada, 253-4, denies rumors of prospective foreign war, 254. Accepts notification of ending of British neutrality, 268-9 meets with an accident, 257. Attempted murder of 257-8, 265 diplomatic action and views of, with regard to, belligerent rights to South denial of I-87, 102, 169, 233, Roman II. 182. Remonstrance on concession of I-247, 274, proposes withdrawal of Roman II. 264-5, 266. See also under Declaration of Paris and Neutrality Infra. Blockade, I-54 note, 65, 246, 295. Interviews with Leon on 244, 245, 246, 251, 256, 257. Suggested alleviation of I-274 Southern Ports Bill, reassures Lord Leon on American intentions in I-249. Attitude to issue of 248 Note, 250, 251, 252, on closing of ports by proclamation, 250, 252 Stone Boat Fleet blockade. Statement on I-256-7 Bunch Affair, I-184, 189, 191 and Note, 192, 193, and Note Confederate debts. Statement on Roman II. 197 Confederate envoys, British intercourse with I-105 Confederate shipbuilding in Britain, Roman II. 121, 139, 140, effective seizure of the Alexandra on 140, dispatch on Alexandra case decision, 143 and Note, refuses to allow British consul through the blockade, 148 Cot. On proposed French intervention to secure I-198, 200, promises of, based on capture of New Orleans, Roman II. 16 Declaration of Paris negotiation, I-137, 141, 145, 147, 150 et seq. Statement in refusing convention as modified by Russell, 145, motives in 152, 153, 169, hope to influence foreign attitude to Southern belligerent rights, 151, 162, 164, 165, 169, as part of foreign war policy. Considered 153-4, 155-6 Emancipation Proclamation, urges postponement of Roman II, 37. 85, 95, 96, 98, 114, informed as to effective on intervention, 98, 99 comments on purpose of, 99-100 the high moral purpose argument, Roman II. 100 proposes convention for transport of emancipated slaves, 100 Hampton Roads Conference, Roman II. 252, attitude to Britain after, 253-4 intervention. Attitude to I-145, 178, 200, threat of servile war and Roman II. 1819, 22, 95, instructions to Adams on 35-6, 96-7, view of the effect of emancipation, on 98, 114, see also mediation infra. Irish emigrants, enlistment of Roman II. 201 mediation, attitude to I-283 Note, 297, Roman II. 1857 Note by France, I-283 Note by Russia, 283 Note, view of England's refusal to act with France in Roman II. 71, 72 declines French offer of 76 see also intervention supra. Mercier's Richmond visit, I-284, 286, statement to Lyon, view of Confederate position, 286, newspaper statement on 287 Napoleon's Mexican policy, attitude to Roman II. 198 neutrality proclamations, representations on I-100, 101, dispatch on American view of 101, 103 Note, 134, refusal to receive officially 123, 132, 133, and Note, 164. Efforts to secure recall of 152-3, 169, 198, 234, 274-5, 300, 301 privateering, I-160, convention with Russia, 171 Note. See also Southern privateering infra. Privateering bill, use of Roman II. 121 Note, 141, 151 on the purpose and use of the privateers, 122-3, 125, 137, 143, conversations with Lyon on 125, 126, on necessity for issuing letters of marque, 126, 143. Advised by Adams against issue of privateers, 131, 139 recognition of Southern independence, I-65, 74, 198 servile war threat, Roman II. 1819, 22, 83, 95, 98 slave trade treaty with Great Britain, I-10, 275, 276, Roman II. 90 Southern privateering, view of I-104, 105. Efforts to influence European attitude to I. 104, 151, 154, 162, 164, 169, Attitude on issue of privateers from British ports, Roman II. 126, 127, Trent Affair. Reception of British demands in I-230, 232, 233 on Wilkes Action, 231. Attitude to release of envoys, 231 and note, 232, 233, 234, 236. British opinion on Sewardin, 239 Foreign policy. High tone, I-236, 252 and note, 301, Restoration of the Union as basis of, 236. Influences affecting, Roman II. 95, 100 Foreign war panacea, I-60, 113, 120, 123 4, 125, 126 note, 127, 130, 132, 134 5, 137, 154, 155, 214. Appreciation of 136. Southern conciliation policy of I-49, 83, 117, 118, 121, 123, 125, Expectations from Union sentiment in the South, 60, 117, Aide Schiedin's Richmond visit, 121-3, Communications with Confederate commissioners, 117-8, 120 Appreciation and criticism of. By British statesmen and press in 1865. Roman II. 257, Times tribute to 257, Horace Greeley's attack on I-280 note, Gregory's attack on I-269, Lyon's view of I-59, 60 Adams' admiration for I-80, 127 British suspicion of I-113, 114, 128, 133, 136, 227, 235-6. Roman II. 101 note, The Newcastle Story 80, 114, 216, 227, Thurlow Weed's efforts to remove 227 Adams' view, 227 otherwise mentioned I. 66, 163 notes, 177, 186, 188, 209, 212, 213, 217. Roman II. 39, 84, 123 note, 170, 173, 175, 223, 225, note 259, 281 Shelburne, Earl of I-240 Sheridan's campaign in the Shenandoah, views in French press on Roman II. 236 note Sherman, General, Atlanta campaign of Roman II. 217. Captures Atlanta, 233 March to the Sea, 243-5, captures Savannah, 245, 249, 301, campaign against Johnston, 248, reports of pillaging and burning by his army, 265. Mentioned, 215 Russell, W.H., views of on Sherman's campaigns, Roman II. 230, 232-3, 243 times view of his campaigns, Roman II. 212, 227, 232, 243-6 Shiloh, General Grant's victory at I-278 shipbuilding by Confederates in neutral ports, Roman II. 116, 117 note. 128, Continental opinion of international law on, 121 note Shipping Gazette, quoted Roman II. 14 Shrewsbury, Earl of cited on democracy in America and its failure, Roman II. 282 Slavery, Cotton supplies and I-13, controversy in America on 32, 36, English opinion on 31-5, 37-8, 40. As an issue in the Civil War, 45, 46, 173, 175, 176, 179, 181, 241, 242 Roman II. 78, 88, 93, 222, Confederates identified with I-71, Roman II. 220 Southern arguments for 3 and note attitude of the North to 78. Growth of anti-slavery sentiment, 83, 84 failure of the slaves to rise, 86 Northern Declaration on, urged 98-9, 107 British public meetings on, 109 note Southern Declaration on, 106. See also African slave trade, emancipation, servile insurrection, etc. Slidell John, Special Commissioner of the Confederates to France, I. 203, Captured on the Trent, 245, 234 and note. Connection of with Napoleon's Mexican policy, 261 note. Plan of action of 264.5 received by Thuvenel, 266 note. View on continental and British interests in the blockade, note, 273, view of Mercier's Richmond visit, 228, on Lindsay's interviews with Napoleon, 292, views of on the capture of New Orleans, 296, idea to demand recognition from France, 306, 307, Roman 2. 25, 28, hopes of mediation by France, Roman 2. 19, 25. Interview of with Napoleon, 23, 24, makes offers to Napoleon and to Thuvenel, 24, 25, letter to Benjamin on failure to secure intervention, 29, interview with Napoleon on armistice, 59 and note, 60, memorandum of to the Emperor asking for separate recognition, 75, on shipbuilding for Confederates in France, 128, quoted on position of France in relation to mediation, 155. And Confederate cotton loan, 158 and note, 159, 161, 163, interview of with Napoleon on recognition, 167. And Napoleon's instruction on recognition in Roebuck's motion, 168-9, 172, and Mason's recall, 180, 181, 182, opinion of Russell, 213. Suggestion on Lindsay's motion, 213, disappointment at result of Mason's interview with Palmerston, 215, opinion on European attitude to the South, 215, interview with Napoleon on the abolition of slavery in return for recognition, 249-50, quoted on Lee's surrender, 256-7, appreciation of as diplomatic agent, Roman 2. 25, 180 note. Correspondence of I-261 note, otherwise mentioned, Roman 2. 154 note. See also under heading Confederate Commissioners Smith, Goldwyn, Roman 2. 136 note, 189 note on Gladstone and Canada, 69, 70 note, quoted on the influence of the Times, 178 note, 189 note on the Daily Telegraph, 189 note, tribute of to T.B. Potter, 224 note, view of the Times' attitude to democracy, 299. Criticism of the privileged classes of Great Britain, 303-4 America and England in their present relations, quoted Roman 2. 304, and note Civil War they in America, cited Roman 2. 223 note, quoted 304 note does the Bible sanction American slavery? Roman 2. 110 letter, A, to a Whig member of the Southern Independence Association, Roman 2. 194.5. Quoted 299 Smith, T.C., Parties and Slavery, cited Roman 2. 3 Note Society for Promoting the Cessation of Hostilities in America, Roman 2. 207 Letters of to Members of Parliament, 207-8, 210-11 Deputation of to Palmerston, 216 Somerset, Duke of I-207 South Carolina, Secession of I-41, 44 Times View on 55. And Restoration of Colonial Relations. Some British misconceptions on 43, 44 and note Southern Independence Association, the Roman 2. 185, 189, 191-5, 204, 220, 298, cessation of meetings of 193-4, 222-3, apathy and dissension in 205, 207, 208. Resolution and deputation to Palmerston, 210-2, 216, ticket meetings, 239, Oldham Meeting, 239, 240 Southern Ports Bill. See Blockade Southern States, Attitude of, to Protection Policy, I-21-47, and Reciprocity Treaty with British American Provinces, 21 to Influences Directing British Trade to, 22, British Press Attitude to, 40-48 Passam Characterization of, 41 Right of Secession, 42, 82, 175, 176, 269, Tariff as a Cause for Secession, 47. Question of Recognition considered, 58, Secession, 172-3, Preparations for War, 172 Recognized as Belligerents, 190, 191, 172, Expulsion of British Consuls by Roman 2. 148 note. Activities of British Friends of 152, 187 8, 190, 193 4, 239, 298. Conservative Hopes for Success of 300 Views on French Attitude, Roman 2. 236 Note. Effect of the Fall of Savannah on 246 End of the Confederacy, 248, 259, 268. Hope of From Foreign War, 252 Effect on of Lincoln's assassination, 258 Withdrawal of belligerent rights to 264 End of the war. Naval policy towards 266-7 belligerent rights, recognition of I. 87, 88, 95, 108, 109, 150, 151, 155, 166 Note. See Neutrality Proclamations. Commissioners of C. Under Confederate Commissioners Cotton, Obsession as to I-252 Note, Roman 2. 4. 5 Cotton Loan, Roman 2. 155 et sec. 179. Reception of in England 161. Amounts realized by 162 Declaration of Paris Negotiation, Attitude to I-186 Finance, Roman 2. 156 et sec. Hampton Roads Conference, Suggestions in Roman 2. 252-3 Leaders of British Information on I-58-9 Manifesto to Europe, Roman 2. 241 and Note 242 Mediation, Feeling in on England's Refusal of Roman 2. 71 and Note Hope of Change in British Policy on 213-4 Military Resources, Decline of Roman 2. 219. Desertions from the Army, 222 Negroes, Arming of Roman 2. 241, 251 Privateering. See that heading, Recognition of Independence, Anger at Failure to Secure, I-252 Note Desire for, Without Mediation, Roman 2. 217 Secret Service Funds, Roman 2. 154 Note Shipbuilding in British Ports for Roman 2. 115 et sec. British Protest 2 on 148. See also under Alabama, Laird Rams Orito, etc. Slavery Attitude, Roman 2. 88 and Note Intention of Gradual Emancipation, 98 British Views on 220 Offer of Abolition in Return for Recognition, 249-51 Spain, and Mexican Debts, I-259, 260 Spargo, Karl Marx, cited, Roman 2. 292 Note Spectator, the I-70 Note. Roman 2. 231 Note Constant Advocacy of Northern Cause, I-39 on Lincoln's Election, 39 Views on the Civil War, 41, 69, 100, 181 on Secession, 57 on Proclamation of Neutrality, 100, 136 Note. Attacks Bulwer-Lytton's speech on dissolution of the Union, 182 on Servile Insurrection and Emancipation, Roman 2. 79-80. On British Press Attitude to Emancipation, 89 on Declaration of Anti-Slavery Purpose in the War, 89 on the Emancipation Proclamation, 104.5 on British lack of sympathy with the North, 280 on anti-slavery sympathies and view of democracy in England, 280 otherwise mentioned, I-180. Roman 2. 105 223 Note 282 Spence, James, I-183 Note 266 and Note. Conferences of in London 266, 267, 272 and Note 273. Prevents demonstration by cotton operatives, 300 plan to appeal to the Tories, Roman 2. 153, 155, 164. As Confederate Financial Advisor, 156, 157, 158, and Confederate Cotton Loan, 159, 161 2, urges withdrawal of Roebuck's motion, 173-4, effect of the fall of Vicksburg on, 179, organization of Southern clubs by, 186-7, 188, 189, 190. Hopes for intervention, 187-8, 189-90, organization of Southern Independence Association by, 191, organization of meetings by, 191, 222-3, organizes petitions to Parliament, 193. Comments of, on the Palmerston-Mason interview, 216-7. On Slavery Clause in Southern Independence Association's address, 220 Slidell's opinion of, I-266 Note, Roman 2. 159, otherwise mentioned, I 302, Roman 2. 49 Note, 181, 193 The American Union, I 183 and Note, 266 Note. Roman 2. 112 Spencer, Herbert, quoted I 38 Spurgeon, ch. Prayer of, for Victory of the North, Roman 2. 109-110 Stanley of Alderley, Lord, Roman 2. 42 Stephen Leslie, Meeting of, with Seward, Roman 2. 176 Note Stevens, Alexander H., Vice President of Southern Government, I. 59, 81, 121, Interview of, with Schladen, 122, 123. Discussion of, with Seward on Confederate Foreign War Plan, Roman 2. 252 Stevenson, American Minister to London, Letter of, to Palmerston, quoted I 109-10 Stokel, Russian Minister at Washington, View of the Secession, I 53 Note, on Russian Policy in Declaration of Paris Negotiations, 164 Note, on Privateers in Northern Pacific, 171 Note. And Recognition of the South, 196 Note, and Mercier's Richmond Visit, 283 and Note on Mediation, 283 Note Roman 2. 37 and Note, 59 Note, 70 Note 76, Comments of on Emancipation Proclamation, 107 Note on the reconciliation of North and South followed by a foreign war, 251 Seward's request to, on withdrawal of Southern belligerent rights, 265. Views on probable policy of Britain at the beginning of the Civil War, 269-70, 271 on the Civil War as a warning against democracy, 297 Note, otherwise mentioned, I 54 Note, Roman 2. 45 Note Stone Boat Fleet. See Blockade. Story, William Wetmore, I 228, 256, Letters of in Daily News, 228 and Note Stowe, Mrs. Harriet Beecher, and the Saturday Review, I 181 mentioned Roman 2. 89-90, 109 Uncle Tom's Cabin, I 33 and Note Stowell, Lord, I 208 Stewart, British Minister at Washington, Report of New Northern Levies of Men, Roman 2. 30 on Recognition, 30 and Note. Views on British Policy, 30 Note Attitude to Intervention and Recognition, 36, 37, 66 Note. Report of Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, 37, 98, Suggestion of Armistice, 47, Account of Federal Reprisals, 66 Note, on Servile Insurrection, 97. Describes Emancipation Proclamation as a brutum fulmen, 101 otherwise mentioned, Roman 2. 25, 26, 66 Note, 70 100 Note Sturge Joseph, A Visit to the United States in 1841, cited I-29 Sumner Charles I-79 80. Brooks Attack on 33 80. Hope of, for appointment as Minister to England, 55 and Note, Views on Annexation of Canada, 55. In Trenefair, 231, 232, 234 Note, Attitude to Southern Ports Bill, 248 and Note, Advocacy of Abolition, Roman 2. 81-90, Conversations with Lincoln on Abolition, 82-86, Attitude to Privateering Bill, 123, 124 otherwise mentioned, I-49 Note, 83, 130 Note, 220. Roman 2. 80, 132, 184, 247, 262, 280 Sumter. Fort, Fall of I-63, 73, 74, 83, 120, 172, 173. Seward's Policy on Reinforcement of, 118 Sutherland, Reverend Doctor, Prayer of an American Senate, I-233 Note. Tariff Bill, U.S. of 1816, I-19, of 1828, 21 Taylor, P.A., Abolitionist, Roman 2. 224, Eulogy of George Thompson, 224 Note Taylor, Tom, Poem by, in Punch, on the Death of Lincoln, Roman 2. 259 Tennessee joins Confederate States, I-173 Texas, State of, Revolts from Mexico, I-12. Great Britain sends diplomatic and consular agents to, 12. Independence of as affecting British policy, 1316, enters the American Union, 14, 15, 16. In War of Independence against Mexico protests against shipbuilding for Mexico in Britain, Roman 2. 117 Note. Mentioned, 266 Thompson and Wainwright, Confidential Correspondence of G.V. Fox, etc. Cited, I-257 Note Thompson, George, organizer of the London Emancipation Society, Roman II. 91 Work of for Emancipation 109, 224 and note, mentioned 109 note 184, 191 Thuvenel, M., French Foreign Minister, I-88, 143. In the Declaration of Paris Negotiations, 157, 158, 159, 161, 162, 163. Initiates negotiations with Confederates, 157, 189. Policy of, for relief of French need for cotton, 196, 197, 198. Attitude of, in Charleston Consul's case, 189. And Southern Ports Bill, 247, 248 and notes, 249 and note. Interview with Slidell, 266 note. Attitude of to mediation, 266 note, 279. Roman II. 1920-28 on difficulties due to lack of cotton, I-279, 293 4. Conversations on Lindsay's interview with Napoleon, 291, 293. And Mercier's Richmond visit, 280, 281, 282, 285, 288, 299. Conversation with Napoleon on the blockade and recognition of the South, 294 on French neutrality, 299. Opposition to Napoleon on American policy, Roman II. 19 and note 20, 39. Slidell's offer to on mediation, 24, 25. Reply of to Russell's unofficial suggestion of mediation, 38, 9, 46. Retirement of 45, 59. View of England's advantage from dissolution of the Union, 270 note. Otherwise mentioned, I-275, 289 times. The characteristics of as newspaper, I-42, 229 note, Roman II. 178 note, 228, 230 note, 234. Influence on public opinion, 178 note, 189 and note, 228. Influence on public press, 226, 230 note. Accuracy of reports in, 226. Pro-Southern attitude in last year of the conflict, 226-8, 242, 244 and note. Attitude to Hotsey, 154 note. Relations of with W. H. Russell I. 177, 178 Roman II. 228, 229 and note. Criticisms of John Bright's view of I-55 note. Citations of anti-Americanism in 217 note. Cobden on 222 note. Canadian opinion on 222 note in Index Roman II. 228 in Morning Star 228. Goldwin Smith's attack on 299 Historicus, articles by in, see under Historicus. Views expressed in on Civil War, non-idealistic I-89-97, Prince Motley's letter on causes of 174-5 Confederate Manifesto Roman II. 242 Cotton I-55, Roman II. 7 and note 1415 Democracy, Attitude to I-8, Roman II. 281, 284, 289, 297, 300. Change of view on 289-90, 291, 297, Comparison of British and United States governments, 286, Attack on John Bright, 295-6 Foreign War Plans of America on Roman II. 252, 254 Gladstone's speech, Roman II. 49 Note Laird Rams, Roman II. 146 Lincoln, on slavery speech of I-38. On re-election of Roman II. 234-5, 238 Appreciations of after his death, Roman II. 259-61 Lindsay's proposed motion, Roman II. 205-6 Mediation, I-303, 305. Roman II. 67 Military situation, Roman II. 165, 176 and note, 178, 297, after Gettysburg, Roman II. 180 and note, 228 note Lee's northern advance, 176 on Grant's reverses and Sherman's march on Atlanta, 227, 232, 243. Capture of Atlanta, 233, 234, 235, Fall of Savannah, 245-6, 301 Lee's surrender, 255-6, Appreciation of Lee's campaign, 256 Northern ability in war, 256, Sherman's campaign, 301 Note Neutrality in Non-Idealistic War I-89, 97 Northern Ability in War Roman II. 256 Privateers, I-158 Proclamation of Neutrality, I-103-4, 158 Roebuck's Motion Roman II. 173-176, 296 Note Secession, I-45, 68 Seward I-216, Roman II. 257 Slavery, Attitude to Controversy on I-32, 55 Condemnation of 38-9-40-71. On Northern Attitude to Roman II. 89 Emancipation Proclamation, 102-3, 104 Criticism of Anti-Slavery Meetings, 108 On Biblical Sanction of 110 South, the Condemnation of I-38-9-40 Lawless Element in, 40-41 Changing Views on, at Opening of the War and Note 56-7, 68-9, Demand of for Recognition Roman II. 181. Renewed Confidence in Roman II. 210 and Note Southern Shipbuilding Roman II. 145, 146 Trent Affair, I-216-7, 225-6, 237 War of 1812. I-8 Yankee, the Roman II. 246 Otherwise Mentioned, I-174, Roman II. 65 and Note 160, 201 and Note 204 and Note 295 Toombs, Confederate Secretary of State, I-129. Roman II. 4 Note Toronto Globe, the cited I-222 Note Trades Unions of London, Meeting of Roman II. 132-3, 134, 291-3 Train George Francis of the New York Herald, Speeches of In England Roman II. 224 Note Treaty of Washington, 1842, I-4 9 Tremenhere, H.S., the Constitution of the United States, etc. cited. Roman II. 275 Note Tremlett, F.W., quoted Roman II. 211-12 Trent Affair. The I-195, 203 and Note 204 et sec. British demands in I-212-3, 226, 230, Points of the Complaint. 214 Note, American Reply, 232, 234 British Views on I-203, 216, 216-8, 221-4, 225, 226-7, American Exultation in 205-6, 218, 219. Effective in Canada, 222 Note, Cabinet Members' Sentiments on 223, Change in American Views 226, 231, British Speculation on Probable War 228, 229, European Support of Britain in 229, 235, French Views on 230, 234-5, Release of Envoys 235. American Feeling After Settlement of 236 and Note 237, Parliamentary Debate on Conclusion of 241, 262, 265, 274, Influence of on British Policy in Relation to the Civil War, 242 Roman II. 1516, Southerners' Action in I-211 Note, Effect of on British Cotton Trade Roman II. 9. Otherwise Mentioned, I-171 Note, 201, 202, 244, 253, 254. Roman II. 72, 131 Trescott, William Henry, I-186, 188 Tribune, The New York, cited, I-280 Note Trimble, W., Surplus Food Production of the United States, cited Roman II. 13 Note Trollope, Anthony, I-239 and Note 240, Roman II. 153. Description of the United States Citizen by, Roman II. 287-8 North America, I-239, Roman II. 153, 287, 288 and Note Trollope, Mrs. I-27, 48 Tyler, President, I-10. Union and Emancipation Society of London, The Bright Speech to Roman II. 295 United Empire Loyalists, I-8 Note United States, Citizenship. Theory of I-56 and Note Commercial Relations with Great Britain, I-17 et sec. Democracy in, see under Democracy. International Law, Influence of U.S. on, Belligerent and Neutral Rights in, I-510, 140 Naval Power. Agitation for Increase of, I-123 Policy in the Civil War Roman II. 197 see under Adams, Lincoln, Seward, and subject headings Political Principles of British Sympathy for I3, 26 Political Institutions in Views of Travelers and Writers I30, Roman 2. 274 et sec. Population, Growth of I12 Protection Policy, Beginnings of I1819, 21 Reaction Against in the South, 21 Territorial Expansion, I12 et sec. See also under subject headings. United States Supreme Court Decision on Lincoln's Blockade Proclamations, I-110 Note. Van Buren, President, I-109 Vansittart, William Roman II. 187, 193 Note Vicksburg, Capture of Roman II. 143, 165, 176 Note, 178, 228 Note, 296, Southern Defense of 164, 165, 178. Importance of in the military situation, 165 Victoria, Queen, I-76, 96, 168, 190 Note, Roman II. 40, 190, 262, Pro-German influence of 203 Note. Writes personal letter of sympathy to Mrs. Lincoln, 262 Vignaud Henry, Roman II. 154 Note Virginia, State of I-121, 122, 172, 245 Vogt, A. Roman II. 301 Note. Wales, Prince of, Visit to United States in 1860. I-80 Walker, Mr., and Employment of Ex-Slaves in British Guiana, Roman II. 100 Walbridge, General Hiram, Roman II. 123 and Note Warburton, George Hochelaga. I-29 Washington, President, I-11 Watts, Cotton, Famine, Roman II. 6 Note Weed, Thurlow, I-114 and Notes, 129, 227, 231. Roman II. 130 Note Wells, United States Secretary of the Navy, Roman II. 199, in Trent Affair, congratulates Wilkes, I-220 Attitude to the Privateering Bill, Roman II. 123 Note, 128, 137 mentioned, 84, 96 West Indian Colonies, I-3, American Trade with 17, 19, 20, 21. Slavery in, 31 Westbury, Lord, I-262-3, Roman II. 64 Westminster Review, the I-48, 70 and Note, 71 Warncliffe, Lord, Roman II. 187, 193 Note Wheat and Cotton in the Civil War, Roman II. 13 Note Whig Sympathy for American Political Principles, I-26, 28 White Andrew D., A Letter to W. H. Russell, etc. cited, Roman II. 229 Note Whittier, J.G., I-29, 47 Wilberforce, Samuel. I-31 Williams, Commander, R.N., I-204 Wilkes, Captain of the San Jacinto, intercepts the Trent I. 204, 216, 219 20. American National Approbation of 219 20. Seward on, 233. His action officially stated to be unauthorized, 226. 254 Wilmington, N.C., I-253 Note. Roman II. 247 Wilson, President, I-90 Note Wodehouse, Lord, I-84. Yancey, Southern Commissioner, I-63, 82 and Note, 85, 86, 264, Roman II. For Note, 223 Note Yeomans, cited, I-38. End of the Project Gutenberg ebook of Great Britain and the American Civil War, by Ephraim Douglass Adams.